I achieved perfection and became the mayor of Pelican Town on my most cursed farm yet. If you love a little bit of chaos, farms with weird and fun lore, and many thousands of beer, you're in for a great time for this Stardew Valley Perfection mega movie. I'll explain what all of this really means once we get into the video, but now, get yourselves cozy and let me know what you're up to whilst you got this video on. It's time to dive in. I played 100 days of Stardew— wait, does that say Pam Valley? What's happening? Yeah, this year-long video is gonna be quite cursed. Literally. Usually, I let you all in on the backstory starting before we arrive in Pelican Town, but this time, things don't go awry until a few days into our new life. No spoilers right now, get ready for this Pam-themed fever dream. All the mods I use will be linked in the description, and if you're enjoying the video at any point during this playthrough, don't forget to let me know by hitting the like button. Anyway, let's get into it. The farmer isn't gonna know what's hit her. Waking up for our first full day in the valley, I admired the pretty house interior and collected my parsnip seeds. I rearranged the furniture to have the bed next to the door just the way I like it, and stepped out onto the farm to get some space cleared. I've chosen the sunflower farm map linked in the description, and for the farm name, I went with Helianthus Farm, the scientific name for sunflowers. There wasn't a reason for this type of theme, I just thought we needed something cute to offset what's to come. After planting my parsnips, I headed into town to introduce myself and bought a handful of seeds from Pierre. I tried getting some of most things here, but I overestimated what I could afford, so I had to sell back one of my seeds to get what I needed. Clearly, off to a great start. I didn't go home without getting some more first-time greetings in, at which point I was ready to get my additional seeds in the ground. I wandered back out for the evening for a bit of foraging and found more villagers still out and about to say hi to, and I even hit level 1 foraging today too. I'll definitely be making use of some field snacks. I also like using spring onions for energy in the early days, so I headed to Cindersap Forest for a few one day too as part of a general foraging walk. Willie returned to his home on the beach today, ready to give me my very first fishing pole, which I did not put to use just yet. With just a few villagers left to meet, I raced around town trying to find them all with the help of Look Up Anything, because people like Elliot and Leah I can't always remember the schedules of. That meant I completed my introductions by the evening, at which point I handed Elliot some algae for some quick additional gold. We'll fix his friendship in the future anyways. My socializing was done for the day, so I fished the evening away on the farm until I hit level 1 that night. Then, on day 3, I was thrilled to save some energy on the daily crop watering with the guaranteed rain rolling in. The perfect time to get a bit more farm clearing done, but then I realized I'd not checked out the cave next to the farmhouse. There are a couple of places I'll need upgraded tools to access, but it was nice to see the minecarts in better shape than the rest of the farm. It's no surprise that I was immediately drawn to the quarry, delighted to find a whole bunch of iron still days away from the mines opening up, and there were enough rocks here to help me level up my mining skill. I didn't spend much time looking at the other minecart locations, they're just other areas of the farm, and I didn't want to overwhelm my already limited memory. I was hoping to find some more spring onions today, but I guess they were sheltering from the weather. There were however some daffodils around town to cheer me up. I then thought I'd better get back to some farm clearance and chopped enough trees to reach level 2 foraging. Clint appeared on the farm on day 4, having somehow heard I'd been finding some ores. He must have been using my quarry before I took the farm over, and probably tried to steal more ores before I woke up and then found it empty. Anyway, I kicked the trespasser off the farm. I can figure out how to make a furnace all by myself. For today's spring onions, I could count the pickings on one hand. Then, on my way through town, I found that Clint had to outsource his copper ore for inspections now that he couldn't use my quarry, and I made sure to get any friendship points I could as I passed through the area. I planned to fish for more money today, but it wasn't long before my backpack got full, so I moved over to the waters on the farm, which also offers the same fish as the mountain lake. Much easier just being able to dump everything in the shipping bin next to me when I get full again. I did keep some of my fish though, in case I get requests for them in the future, so on this night, I only managed a few hundred gold. Marnie showed up with the stray dog on day 5, and having a farm pet might be nice, so I decided to adopt them. For some reason, I don't know why, the name Hops was speaking to me. The goodest pooch of them all. This was a big day. New pet, our first parsnips, first farming level, and when I headed off to town for a top-off of seeds, I found Lewis outside the previously locked community centre. He showed me around inside the crumbling building where I got jump scared by a little apple-looking thing. Lewis can't see them, but his response shocked me even more because it's been a while since I've actually watched this full cutscene.
What's the matter? Are you ill?
I may not be ill here, but I'm certainly now already sick of Lewis. He thankfully left me to check out the building by myself, and I found this weird plaque much shinier than the rest of the building, in a language I couldn't decipher. Nothing here for me, I guess, so it's back on with my previous plans. First, that meant saying hi to our townie friends. Pam might have thought that every day is just the same as the last, but this one's different. Today, Pam gets a farm fresh parsnip. I sold some of this morning's harvest so I could afford more seeds, except I ended up holding back on my purchase, eyeing up a backpack upgrade hopefully in the near future, especially with this being my first day in the mines too. Like I said, big day. I always forget how rough the rusty sword is whenever I start a new farm, but not only did I gather enough copper ore for Clint's inspection, I also got a dwarf scroll from a slime, and by floor 5, my weapon woes were over with a wooden club in a crate. I left a bit too late to get into Clint's for the ore inspection, but I could get the dwarf scroll donated for another 250 gold. I was to visit Clint at the saloon for the quest hand-in later, but me being me, I got distracted setting up more storage for my growing collection of belongings, and just went to bed after that. But hey, at least I can make scarecrows now. You'd have thought making one of those would be my first task for day 6, but I got distracted by the mail from the local wizard asking me to pay him a visit at his tower. A mysterious request like that made me feel pretty anxious, so I burned some anxious energy first chopping some farm trees whilst I worked up the courage to get over there. He showed me one of the little green buddies from the community centre, otherwise known as a Junimo, who didn't look pleased to be there. I was getting the vibe that he was jealous that the Junimo was showing interest in me and not him, but I explained about the plaque in the community centre, which he had to go take a look at for himself. He came back with a translation which said that the Junimos will help us in exchange for gifts, but I will only understand the language if I'm one with the forest. I guess I'm not naturally the foresty type, but apparently it's nothing some weird green juice can't fix, which the wizard just so happened to have bubbling away. He was looking terrifyingly enthusiastic about me drinking this. This is the kind of thing they warn us about, and yet, I did it anyway. I could now understand the Junimo language, but I wasn't feeling so good. Coming out of the tower, I headed for the nearest bush to throw up, and suddenly hit the ground. I woke up in my own bed the morning of day 7. No idea how I got here. I was hoping to find the answer in my mail, but instead I found Hops looking a little hammy. What on earth is happening? Maybe I'm just still feeling rough from yesterday, right? Seems the wizard might have dumped me at the clinic last night, how kind of him. Not much I can do now besides at least try to get on with my day. Yes, the time of distraction could actually come in handy. Maybe some fresh air could do me some good too. I left the farm for more seeds and grabbed forage on the... What in the Pam bus? I almost didn't want to walk past it in case it came alive, but I braved it for the dandelion. That thing though, I'm not feeling that right now, and ducked into George and Evelyn's to escape. Except it's Pam and Pam. I'm out of there. Alex was looking more normal, for now. What the heck did he do? Is anyone else seeing this? It's alright, just take a breath and go get the seeds from... Yam? Everyone's been Pamified! I made haste back to the Pam wizard to ask what he did to me and demand that he fix it. He'll look into it and get back to me tomorrow, but he said maybe in the meantime I should just go back home. I didn't feel inclined to trust him after yesterday, but it didn't sound like a bad idea, so that's what I did. Just some more file clearance and an early night in the hopes of sleeping off this nightmare. Unfortunately, Hops was still looking very cursed on day 8, and it seems the wizard didn't have the guts to apologise to my face, so he wrote to me instead.
Dear Emma, my sincerest apologies for the side effects you are currently experiencing. After analysing the residue of your cup after you left the tower, I found traces of Pam's DNA from her hair. I'm not certain how this could have happened, but this would explain what you're experiencing. Whilst I haven't been able to observe the full extent of the concoction's effects, I will not be drinking it myself. Rest assured that most of the valley's human residents are safe from such effects. However, since I don't tend to integrate with the town, I cannot be completely sure. You'll be pleased to know that this isn't permanent. Breaking of the curse is a classic one. True love's kiss. In the meantime, you must know there might be adverse effects unless you limit yourself to only items loved by those who share Pam's DNA. This applies to items you profit from, items you can give as gifts. I was not able to ascertain why this is the case. It would be prudent to get to know Pam and Penny as soon as possible so you can abide by the limitations of your curse. M. Rasmodius.
Well, I guess it's challenge time. Gosh, I can't believe I'm going to have to marry Pam. You might be wondering about the phrasing there of Pam's DNA. I couldn't find any Pam-themed bundles, but I could find a whole community centre set up completely themed around Penny, and being her daughter, I think this still makes sense. Given that I can only make money from or gift other villagers these items, at least these are some of the main ones, this year will not be without struggle, though the melons in summer are just giving me a wee bit of hope. Thankfully, the names and portraits of everyone else are as they should be, so I can still tell who's who when I speak to them. And there were quite a few spring onions in the forest today to help cheer me up, because those meant I could complete the spring onion magic bundle. My first reward was an early mushroom log, but more importantly, I could now browse through more bundles. Starting with the pantry, these are pretty adorable, but they are also quite varied. I was most concerned about the quality melons and poppies in this room. Then, other than maybe some sandfish, which there is a sandfish bundle, I wasn't sure what to expect from the fish tank bundles, but there are some cute ones in here too, like the Tom Car soup bundle. Given that I'm going to need to get going with some profit, I finally got around to buying seeds from Pam, and of course went with all parsnips, which left just 3 gold to my name. You'll be pleased to know that I also remembered to make a scarecrow to protect all my precious parsnips, and it was nice having the rain help me out with the planting. For crafting that scarecrow, I could collect 100 gold from my journal. Then I filled my evening with fishing for the community centre donations and XP. Not money, I can't sell them anymore. My day 9 began with quite the watering sesh, and I'm just going to skip over this task from now on. I won't let my prized parsnips dehydrate, don't worry. I got right to work trying to win over the real Pam with one of my stash of parsnips, the rest of which got sold off to Pam for more parsnip seeds. Oh my gosh, so much watering. That motivated me to spend my afternoon in the mines for future sprinkler materials. Like I need any motivation. But anyway, I found some rubber shoes to barely protect my toes, though they didn't last long. I got some leather boots on floor 10. I was going to try and advance to floor 15, but I was pretty low on energy by floor 12, so I took my leave and had to do a second trip to collect the rest of my floor belongings because I forgot to put a chest up there. Day 10 was for some beach fishing and treasure fishing. Look at these chests taking away a bit of my need for mining. How dare they? I left when my backpack got full by lunchtime and swapped out some of my catches at home to make some donations to the community centre. No bundle completions here though. I got sniffed by the Pam mare coming back through town where I fished some more, in need of a smallmouth bass, a bream, and level 3 fishing so I could unlock crab pots. On day 11, I was raring to get back into the mines for this good luck day and successfully set up a chest in there this time. It was a few productive hours, hitting level 2 mining and reaching floor 20, but inside the chest was a steel smallsword objectively worse than my wooden club, so into the trash it went. Instead of carrying on with the mining, I reluctantly trudged over to the beach in this downpour to catch a couple of eels for the community centre and later use. On day 12 we had a big parsnip harvest, plus a couple of carrots which got me another farming level. I carried around the parsnips whilst I took a forest walk and checked out the travelling cart in case I desperately needed anything here. There were some items that the community centre could do with, but most of the bundles have items spread out across multiple seasons, and none of these seemed worth it today. Who needs that when I got some bread I needed from the trash for free? Many of today's parsnips got sold to Pierre so I could buy more parsnip seeds, but I saved some gold this time with the egg festival tomorrow. After dropping a few more donations off to the community centre, I brought my saved parsnip to the real Pam and got the next batch planted up. The reason the field looks like this is because I was leaving space for future sprinklers. I'm gonna need materials for those, so I spent the evening in the mines again. Plus I haven't even got to the iron floors yet, so I better get a move on. I only managed to get through a few more floors tonight, but an ancient seed from a grub made up for it. Sure, I won't be able to sell the fruits or wines for a long time, but I can at least try to get my long-term supply started for when we break the curse. I was pleased to see some more parsnips on day 13, and the cauliflower would just be stashed for later. Still lots of watering ahead, but I'd scrounged together just enough iron ore for a single basic sprinkler. I was looking forward to the egg festival today. I only bought 3 strawberry seeds since I can't sell the fruit, then I said hello to the big gathering of the Pams. Not that anyone else was seeing what I could see, and I was kinda glad that I'd already been dealing with this new look for about a week, because it didn't faze me quite so much, and I was on my game enough to just about make it to a dozen eggs. That's more than enough for the win, and now I can match the rest of the town with a golden straw-like crown. I went spring onion picking on day 14 and found Robin's lost axe nearby. Even with that, I still had just enough space in my backpack for my newest batch of parsnip seeds. Felt the regret set in slightly once I began watering them. I really need those sprinklers. I didn't work on that today though. I chopped a load of farm trees and scored a bait and bobber book from one of the trees. Fishing XP without fishing? My favourite kind of reading. I hit level 4 foraging from all that chopping. Then on day 15, I put that wooden foraging level to use with my first few tappers, which I added to one of each tree. I had 5 new donations for the museum from the recent mine strips and got rewarded with some free cauliflower seeds along with my first plantable ancient seed and its crafting recipe. The cauliflowers will add to my watering woes to make sure they'll grow in time, and the ancient seed will wait for the next parsnip harvest, which should be tomorrow. With today marking the start of salmonberry season, I thought it best to pocket as many berries as I could for energy. That'll help with activities like mining, but for today's ore gathering, some field snacks should suffice. I called it a day when I got to the ever-disappointing lootless floor 30. I didn't feel like dealing with the dark underground tonight, and walked home in the dark overground. Day 16 was another parsnip day. I love how quick these things grow, and there's another farming level. I made sure the ancient seed occupied one of my 2 sprinkler spots since it'll be here until winter. Today's crop got dropped into the Pam bin, but I ended up reclaiming a lot of them to bring one to the real Pam as a gift, and then I sold the rest to Pierre so I could upgrade my backpack. Another helping hand for the mines. Also cherry bombs, those are helpful too. I eventually made my way to floor 40 that night. I didn't care about the slingshot, it was floor 41 on my mind. I tend to reset this one over and over just to gather iron and coal, coming back to the surface to smelt them whilst I'm down there. I went to bed really late, but it meant I could get another 2 sprinklers down before the day was over. On day 17, I went salmonberry picking in the forest, mostly to make sure I collected the yearly pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. That comes with the leprechaun hat. I do love that hat, but for this farm, I want to fit in, so I'm keeping the Pam hair coloured one on my head instead. I popped up to the mines just to collect the iron bars and refresh the furnaces so I can make 2 more sprinklers for the farm, and even though this is clearly nowhere near enough, I didn't fancy walking all the way back up to the mines again, so I just cleared out my own quarry and sought out salmonberry bushes on the farm. That wasn't until I realised by night time there'd be 2 more iron bars waiting up there for me, and the prospect of 2 more sprinklers was enough to entice me into the hike. Plus, I needed to bring home some coal to make my first preserves jar. The community centre is in need of pickles. Surprise surprise, I picked more parsnips on day 18, and as per usual, most of them are sold to Pam for even more parsnip seeds. But the best quality parsnip? That's for the real Pam's birthday. I had a slightly worse one to gift to Penny. Yeah, I've kind of been neglecting her friendship. I'll do better at some point this year, but right now, all I care about is marrying her mother to break this darn curse. Once I got my next parsnips in the ground, I got back to mining. I really don't want to water them all. I pushed my way down another 5 floors, then went back to the trusty floor resets. Though when I do this, I do allow myself to go down any ladders that appear, which does mean less smelting gets done, but the 3 sprinklers I came home with means 12 less parsnips to water in the morning. On day 19, I paced around outside Jodie's till her door unlocked so I could bring her a cauliflower for a curry. Seems doing the dishes is one of the activities that can break the illusion. I suppose I should have mentioned that getting gold from quests are okay, since they're more about helping people. As for the rest of the stuff in my backpack, those were for the community centre. Still no new bundles completed though. The great luck meant another great day for the mines, and it really was a lucky day. I found a slightly more lethal new wooden weapon to replace my old wooden weapon, then I got a better pair of boots from floor 50. At that point, I paused the downwards progress so I could just reset floors to gather coal from dust sprites for the rest of the night. I came home with 7 more sprinklers. I'd rejoice in the feel of my time and energy being freed up from the significantly reduced farm chores, but the rain already doing that for me on day 20 significantly dampened my sense of achievement. Whilst I do have space for a few more sprinklers, I wasn't in the mines for ores today. I was squashing blue slimes because those have a chance to drop winter roots, and I need 5 of those for the community centre. Tunnel visioning them meant I could complete the roots platter bundle, and what do you know? 5 root platters were the reward. I'm allowed to gift or sell these. Having a look at the newly unlocked boiler room bundles, the dwarfish bundle is definitely my favourite, and I already had an amethyst for the earth science one. The woman in STEM bundle is a lovely idea, but its items will be a little more difficult. Even though I didn't do any actual mining today, I was still smelting what I had so I could make 5 more sprinklers. But now, my daily watering is over. I gathered up any boiler room items I already had to donate, including my very first copy of Dwarf Scroll 3. I want the minecarts more right now, and I know I'll get more scrolls later. Even better, I already have everything I needed for the Earth Sciences bundle, which rewarded me with a whole geode crusher. I can open geodes for free now without waiting for the recipe or crafting one. Now we have the bulletin board bundles. There were a couple of vanilla ones in here like the children's bundle and the helpers bundles, but I think they still fit the theme. The new ones are the Penny bundle and the Pam bundle asking for their favourites, but then we have the bookshelf bundle. It's great for the theme, but I really don't want to donate my future books. I got my first ripe strawberries on day 21, which I won't be selling or anything, however I do need them for a couple of different community centre bundles. I got a whole free meal from Gus's Trash whilst I was in town to bring Pam a parsnip for a new gift week, and used the map of Pam's to help me track down Penny to give her one too. I bought 50 more parsnip seeds from Pam and dropped off a few new minerals to the museum so I could get hold of the free melon seeds ahead of summer. As for those parsnips, I decided maybe I could stick out a bit more watering just a little longer. The summer melons are going to be way more profitable, so I need to go into the new season with as much cash for seeds as possible. Then for the evening, I stuck around the farm clearing away more of the overgrowth whilst making good use of my geocrusher. Day 22 and a mass of parsnips were upon us once again. You know by now I sold most of them to purchase more seeds, so I'll skip over all that. I had a lot of running around this day, first to the mines to take the pre-smelted iron to make the crab pot I forgot about, which I set up on the farm to trap a snail I need for the community centre. It was then over to the beach to bring Winnie the farm fresh single green bean he requested, followed by bringing myself all the way back to the mines just to slay ghosts for gold ore. I even got a bonus dwarf scroll from this one, and the single gold bar I wanted to smelt was for the community centre too. I'd reached level 5 farming from this morning's parsnips, so for my first profession, I picked tiller and immediately regretted not waiting a day to sell that harvest. There's level 4 combat as well, and at least I did put some parsnips in the shipping bin today. On day 23, I wanted to bring the next lot of goodies to the Junimos, and it was a good thing I checked the town's trash cans first because I salvaged a whole red plate from Gus's trash. I need that for Penny's bundle. I grabbed a final 30 parsnip seeds for the season. Tomorrow will be the last day I can plant them, but everywhere will be closed for the flower dance, and I couldn't remember if there'd be any to harvest and replant tomorrow. Better safe than sorry. I then happily handed over my donation, today completing the dwarvish bundle. That gave me the dwarf rare crow for free! And that, of course, opens up the vault room, but it's definitely going to be a while before I can spend any money in here. Those bundles are just the same as the vanilla ones in cost. I returned to the farm to set up my rare crow and got 3 of those parsnip seeds planted. At this point, I wish past me bothered to check when the next harvest would be ready, because I definitely won't be needing the remaining 27 of these seeds. I brought them back to Pierre to resell to him at half their cost. I'd rather be able to afford a couple more melon seeds in summer. To make the trip to town a little less disappointing, I donated 6 new minerals to the museum. It really was way more worth it. I got a starfruit seed in time for summer. I'm not one to dwell on my mistakes. I picked up my spirits and mined for more sprinkler materials for the rest of the day. Day 24 was the flower dance. I didn't bother buying anything here, I can just get them next year. I did the rounds with all the Pams, then tracked down the Pamest Pam of them all and asked her to dance. She gladly accepted, but it was actually kind of weird that the rest of the dancers looked normal while we were being watched by a crowd of Pams, and the real Pam quite simply stood there. She didn't even try. Amazing. I got over that sight real quick when I woke up to the sight of a scattered parsnip harvest the next morning. Since I don't have time for another parsnip planting, these went into the shipping bin for the Pam in there to handle. Don't worry, she'll still pay me overnight. And hey, there's my first snail in the crab pot. I know there's a bundle waiting only for that item, and on my way to go donate it, I dug up my very first book. Shame I can't read it, I gotta donate that one too. The snail was to complete the organic science bundle. I got a deluxe worm bin for that to make my fishing missions easier. I reluctantly left that book at the bulletin board, then popped to the beach for some forage when I realised I've still not repaired the beach bridge. I went home to drop off the deluxe worm bin and chop down enough trees so I can get it done. I'll soon be needing the forage here to make a bait machine for the upcoming trout derby in the summer. This got me in the foraging mood, so I bagged myself some more spring onions from the forest and chopped down even more trees on the farm to replenish my wood supply. Speaking of wood, I picked forester for my level 5 profession for all the kegs I'm gonna need and profited 1700 gold from the day's parsnips. I got on with the near emptying of the field for even more parsnips the following day. The field starts to look a little sad towards the end of the seasons, but so that I don't have to begin summer with a slog of tilling and watering, I threw together some sacrifice forage seeds just to keep the sprinkler spots up. I've been checking the travelling cart most of the time that she's here without finding anything at all, but today was different. I got my hands on a miner's treat and a coconut at relatively reasonable prices. Most of the day's harvest got sold to Pam. I saved a silver quality one for his birthday, with a gold one reserved for the real Pam. Obviously the cash from today's parsnip sale wasn't for more immediate seeds. It was instead so I could afford an axe upgrade from Clam, so I can chop hardwood stumps on the farm. In dropping off the morning's cart purchases at the community centre, I noticed that the Friends Favourites bundle was just a single item away from completion. One of those is much easier to obtain than the others, so I visited the saloon to pick up a pizza and checked off another bundle. The reward wasn't very pleasing though, a loom I'll probably never use. I tend to get my cloth from recycling machines and mummies in Skull Caverns. My afternoon was spent crushing dust sprites for coal and gathering stones for a quest. Then I was going to try get myself some floor 60 treasure, but I ended up giving up on the spiral floor 59 because I wanted to try find Ropam at the saloon to hand in the stone quest. Easier said than done when the people were looking so alike, and it turned out she'd already left by then. It's all good, I managed to chase her down on her way home. On day 27, I gathered up my last little harvest of the season and squeezed in another farming level. Now that I'm done with the freshwater crab pot fish, I moved my single crab pot down to the beach hoping for a shrimp for the Tom Carr soup bundle, and left a chest nearby for easy bait refill. Pamela got a parsnip for her birthday, and I got another little friendship boost by bringing her an amethyst she asked for. It's not her gift, don't worry. I got a prize ticket for it and she paid me. I didn't claim this prize ticket though. This one went to the helpers bundle. With my errands done, I could spend my evening in the mines to actually make it to floor 60 this time, but all I got was a crystal dagger, and I don't really like daggers that much. I carried on to the floor 65 elevator and brought home some good supplies late that night, enough to make myself a glowstone ring. I can now see whilst I plant the coffee beans I got in the mines today, and I got level 5 mining. I'm going with the miner profession. My bees produced some honey on day 28 which I wanted to bring to the community centre, but not before bringing the real Pam a parsnip for the new gift week. We're now at 8 hearts, so I delayed my donation drop off a little longer to purchase some vinegar for another bundle, but more importantly, a bouquet to take things with the real Pam to the next step. She accepted. Not quite gladly, but hey, we're a step closer to breaking this stupid curse. After grabbing my axe from Clint, it was donation time. I completed the Better Than Booze bundle and got some deluxe speed grower in perfect time for a triple melon harvest next season. Back on the farm, I sought out every hardwood stump I could find. Hardwood might have seemed like an odd focus, but I was really after getting a mahogany seed for the brave little sapling bundle. I'm not sure if I was just unlucky or if I can't get them on the farm like this, but I didn't get a single one. I knew I should have gone with a pickaxe. I've got a lot of hope for this summer because Penny loves melons, so I can sell as many of them as I want, and poppies as well, but they're not quite as good. Shame I couldn't afford that many seeds. Yeah, that's more points of regret for the axe upgrade. Seriously, I did have to sell some stuff back to afford some other seeds I'm gonna need for bundles. I did have some donations with me. The first batch were for the museum. Not sure why I didn't even check on what the reward was. Then I dropped off a sweet pea and some more pickles to the community centre on my way home to get the rest of the planting done. I feel really silly now preparing all of this fertiliser. The field's more than half empty. This is just sad. So I added 10 summer forage seeds just to feel something, and to save at least some of this fertiliser. I brought Pam another gold parsnip in the morning of day 30. Sadly, I had to take some of my best ones out of my gift stash to sell to Pierre so I could afford the variety of seeds I didn't get yesterday. Plus an extra melon and an extra wheat will be good. Not much else to report until I fished in the evening for a pike, a fishing level, and a shad. That's another 2 donations down, and some new crafting recipes unlocked. On day 31, I fished outside the Pam Mare's house waiting for it to open in the hopes of catching a couple of rainbow trout. They're a pretty common fish, so it shouldn't take me too long. Here's my first one. That's for the community centre. Now I just need one more so I can turn it into bait for the trout derby. And that's a sunfish. Okay, how about the next one? Nope. That's alright, it'll be soon, right? Where's this darn trout? My goodness, I've been here all day. The rivers. I've been scanned into all of this finally. I really gotta get out of here. What's the bet that this prize will be just as disappointing? Go away, Lewis! Yeah, it's probably just gonna be— ooh, seeds! Anyway, with that run out of my system, I felt good enough to fish some more at the pier. Mainly for this red mullet, but I'll certainly take a super cucumber. I used the red mullet to complete the rainbow fish bundle, which rewarded me with a bait and bobber. I'd love to just read it, but no, it's gotta go to the bookshelf. Day 32 was spent in the mines for a decent luck day, where I claimed the master slingshot from floor 70, and scored a monster compendium from floor 74, which thankfully I don't have to donate. I can read it right here, right now. The monsters can now give me extra loot on my way down to floor 80 where I claimed the Firewalker boots, but the reason I was rushing down there was to be able to reset floor 81 for gold ore towards future quality sprinklers. On day 33, I brought my ores back up to the mines where the furnaces are because I didn't mean to take them home. The couple of roots platters I had with me were to sell to Pam, which I can do because Penny loves them, but that was so I could fund a corn seed and some more wheat for beer. When I refilled my crab pot on the beach, I leveled up in foraging from an oyster in the sand. Then I came home to plant my seeds, including a handful of mixed ones I got in the mines. I was planting these in the hopes of getting melons, but I always forget that it's not in fact a thing, and you can only get melons from mixed seeds on Ginger Island. Speaking of seeds, I was hoping to have better luck with a mahogany seed on the farm today, and managed to track down a single hardwood stump that I missed. No seed here either. I guess I'm going to have to work towards another axe upgrade to try and get into the secret woods. On day 34, I set up a couple more bee houses to make mead later, and I wanted to add another crab pot to the beach because I wasn't having much luck getting a shrimp for the community centre, and what do you know, there's a shrimp today. That completed the Tonka soup bundle. Can you guess the reward? That's right, a few bowls of Tonka soup. I left one of them to Penny's bundle, and the others I brought home so I can either gift or sell them later. I got back to me mining that afternoon. Still kinda rough with a basic pickaxe, but I can't afford to upgrade it right now. It was worth struggling through it to find a diamond with my next mining level. I wanted to persevere with my poor pickaxe down to floor 90 today, but I gave up for the night on floor 87 to give myself enough time to donate that diamond to the Women in STEM bundle. Now the title of this bundle excites me, but the periodic table poster reward certainly did not. Who cares though? That's our first room completed. I guess I'll put the poster on the wall anyway. It does look kinda good there, but the sight of the minecarts being repaired? That's what dreams are made of. On day 35, I had to part with more of my parsnip stash and a roots platter so that I could buy 5 wheat seeds? Nah, this was just so I could leave enough cash to buy some green tea from the travelling cart. I lightened my load in my backpack of all the rocks and artifacts for the museum, but quickly refilled it again with all the reward furniture I've been ignoring. The Singing Stone and Big Blue Bear got their spots on the farm, and even though these are strange locations for them, I feel like they also don't look out of place, so that's where they'll be staying. I haven't got space for the paintings, so those are going in a chest, along with a green tea for now, because I'm a little while off being able to complete the alcohol-free bundle. That's when I noticed I don't have that much wood left, so it's an evening of wood chopping for me. I got this copy of Woody Secret, which will help with that, because I don't need to donate it to the bookshelf. The poppies brighten my day in the dreary weather on day 36. I am going to need to plant more of them though. The Summer Garden bundle needs 5 gold quality ones. I got into town a bit earlier than Pierre's opened, but that allowed me time to begin a bulletin board quest to say hello to all the town Pams. I eventually got round to entering the general store where I sold off a few of my poppies to afford more seeds. Then, many greetings later, I'd more than depleted my social battery and daylight hours, so I called it a day with just a few Pams to go. Those can wait till tomorrow. I just got my new poppy seeds in the ground and turned in for an early night. I had a pleasant little harvest to tend to the next day, though the forage that's ready I'll be leaving until I have other seeds to replace them with. My main focus for today was getting my last hellos in for the town greeting quest, but after all that running around, I forgot to collect the reward from my journal. At the moment, my main source of general progress is waiting on the melons and poppies to grow, so I filled this day with even more wood chopping and got another foraging level for my efforts. Day 38 and here are the melons! I'll be saving some of those for bundles, but as you probably guessed, I'll be selling the rest direct for more seeds. Except it's Wednesday, and Pierre's is closed, and it's the luau tomorrow, so he's closed then too. Now I regret picking them. I guess the triple harvest was a bit pointless without the prep. Might as well just ship most of them then, I guess. I saved the deluxe bee grow with some forage seeds. When I get something better, I'll just axe the plants. I moved on to better things, donating a whole bunch of stuff to various bundles. Even if I didn't complete any this time, then I headed up to the mines to get me some more shinies and break fiber on floor 81 to try and get as many free mixed flower seeds as I could. Through a whole afternoon and evening, I came out with 8 of them, and left with enough time to bring one of the emeralds I got down there to finish Penny's own bundle. I didn't get anything useful here, just the strawberry decal, but it is at least cute, and before bed, I changed out some of the forage seeds to the flower seeds I gathered. Overnight, I made almost 3.5 grams from those melons. Then day 39 was the luau. As you can see, the curse is still cursing, so I thought I'd better bring an ingredient that fits with the rules. I was a little sad to part with one of my gold quality melons that I needed, but it pleased the governor and all the Pams, so no regrets. On day 40, I continued to stock up on wheat and reached level 7 farming. One more to go until we can start turning all of this into beer. In place of those will go some more melons, and with the field now full of good seeds, I'm looking forward to the next big harvest. I was feeling some more tree chopping, but I took a quick break when I remembered I needed to buy ice cream in town. I was too late though, Alex had already left, and he won't sell it tomorrow on his traditionally stormy birthday. I hid from that storm in the shelter of the mines, where I got a weapon to replace my now weak wood mallet. It's the obsidian edge. I later even made it to floor 100 and had a late dinner of a stir drop. I recovered with a taste of... Huh? Pam? That was weird. I wanted to carry on down to floor 105 to take my mind off of that, but I was stuck on 104 for a while and it was getting kinda late, so I just crafted a staircase to get me to the elevator. I hit level 5 combat that day, so for my level 5 profession, I'm going with fighter as usual. On day 42, I harvested some blueberries, a single melon, and some radishes. Of course, I can't sell the radishes, nor the blueberries at the moment, but I do need 1 blueberry for a bundle, and the single melon I brought right to Pierre to get more melon seeds. I won't have time for many more at this point. The blueberry got donated to the Play with Paint bundle. I was a little worried about this one, because I either need to hope that the travelling cart brings a cactus fruit, or I need to pay to restore the bus, and it's not like I've been drowning in gold this year. A lot of what was left in my wallet was reserved for buying an ice cream from the stand, which went straight into the children's bundle before it could melt. It was late afternoon by the time I could get back to the mines to unlock some deeper floors. Getting down to floor 110, I got some awesome space boots. That's when I noticed I'd gotten a cudgel at some point, which I prefer over the obsidian edge because it's a club. All of my spare weapons and boots I've been storing in my mines chest. I'll be selling them all after the curse is broken. I didn't go home just yet though. Through the power of sheer will, determination, and, well, another staircase, I made it down to floor 120 and slipped the skull key into my wallet for whenever we can get to the desert. It was a morning of crop tending on day 43. No, seriously, the whole morning, and a couple of trips to Pam's due to my lack of planning. I fished for the afternoon in Cindersap Forest, though if I'm honest, I can't remember why. That's about it really for this day. It was a quiet one. My first ancient fruit was amongst day 44's harvest, which I planned to save to turn back into seeds for after the curse. I did my usual crop seed trade-in with one of the poppies, then spent the entire day breaking fibre for seeds and searching for fire quartz to smelt. Those were to make my first quality sprinklers. It really felt like a victory, actually being in need of extra planting space. On day 45, I had to clear some space around my crop zone where I'd expanded, removing the long grass that was creeping closer to the house. Some fresh poppies could be donated to the summer garden bundle, and now I just gotta wait for some top quality melons. I had a couple of gems for the museum too, and got some free pumpkin seeds ready for next season. Then, on my way to find Emily for a fetch quest, I won a trash catalogue outside Jodie's. The reason I was keen to hand off this iron bar to Emily is because I knew she had a prize ticket for me. This peach sapling will go nicely on the farm. I usually wait until I get the greenhouse to plant these, but that's a long way off, and as of 1.6, we get the sapling back if we chop it down anyway, so I can always move it later. I hunted for more mixed flower seeds that evening, but didn't find a single one, but we'll have better loot soon. Mr. Key dumped a plane load of mystery boxes all over town whilst I slept. I was hoping to have better luck the next day with all the weeds that sprouted with the green rain anyway. After scything through the whole of Cindersap Forest and the mountain area, I came home with 20 of them, and of course, I was mostly just hoping for more poppies. On day 47, I brought a few more poppies to Pam so I could buy a parsnip soup from the travelling cart for Pam's community centre bundle. Hayley was after an earth crystal which I brought to her at the beach, then I fished in the forest again just to hit level 5. It was then up to the mines for the evening, hoping to get some mystery boxes for the helpers bundle. I only got this one for the entire time I was there, however I did complete the bug monster slayer goal, and I got my first prismatic shard from the annoying flying ones. I'm gonna keep this one for the galaxy sword. For my level 5 fishing profession, I chose fisher. Not that I can really use the increased fish value right now. Then day 48 was filled with even more fishing for the first day of the trout derby. My usual strategy for this is to make a bunch of rainbow trout bait to mostly just catch those, but I've not been able to craft a bait maker since it requires level 6 fishing to unlock, and I've been too broke to afford a new fishing rod. So here I stand, a girl, a bamboo fishing pole, and a dream. As in a daydream, though I don't have to think about all this fishing I have to do. The tags were pretty slow going without using targeted bait, but I did also score another ancient seed, and sticking it out way into the night, I only got 3 tags all day. In other playthroughs, in this situation, I'd probably have binned off the trout derby until next year, but this time, I'm being stubborn. I want my 10 tags. Did I get them this time? No, I did not. I got 7. Here's a quick rundown of the prizes I got. From those, I was most chuffed with the triple shot espressos and the quality sprinkler. The sprinkler's really all I did it for. There's the next few poppies and melons on day 50, and this is when I noticed my only ancient fruit got zapped by lightning. I shopped to make myself feel better and bought some wheat seeds in bulk. Well, bulk for this cursed farm. I couldn't help a bit of dumpster diving before I went home and found some cookies in the Molnar's trash. That's the last thing I need for the children's bundle. Before donating it, I wanted to pop home to fetch a melon to bring to Pametrius for his research. Imagine my surprise when I found him waiting on my doorstep. He wanted to set up an experiment for either mushroom growing or fruit bats in my farm cave. I do need fruit for the community centre, so I opted for the bats. He left before I could hand him a melon, but I had to leave the farm again anyway to bring some green algae to Pierre, and then I completed the children's bundle. I was expecting to come away with some batteries, but instead I got some cake. What am I going to do with cake? Now the 550 gold I got from Demetrius? That I can use. At some point. Not today. Today I just chopped wood and started a tree farm for more Tapper products. On day 51, the morning's harvest got me so close to level 8 farming that it was painful. Like, probably a single crop away. Oh, I left this one behind. Maybe if it wasn't wheat. I added a couple more bee houses to my little collection, then delivered a bream to George so I could get another prize ticket. I wasn't too bothered about the mixed seeds I got from there, but it moved me closer to getting 3 more mystery boxes for the helpers bundle. I've not been having much luck finding them elsewhere. I returned home to add some paths to my tree farm, then headed to bed really early, anticipating a decent income from a few crops, emeralds, and even diamonds, as well as anticipating the massive harvest the following morning. Not only did I reach level 8 farming, the biggest melon picking of the season was finally upon us. Yes, is closed today, so shipping bin Pam will take care of the ones I want to sell, and I got more than enough gold ones to complete the summer garden bundle. My summer garden could absolutely do with a couple more sprinklers. Demetrius kept my afternoon busy with some tuna fishing. Apparently the population was threatening the other species. Then I took care of my tree farm again. I added some fertilizer to it. Grow faster. I need that oak resin for kegs. On day 53, I was on my way to buy some more wheat from Pierre's when I noticed he'd put a note out for a hot pepper. I went back to fetching one first before loading up on seeds. Whoops! There goes Pam profiting off my mistakes again. The other hot pepper I had with me was for George's knee. Then I came home to find my seed guesstimation wasn't quite right. Once again, that's another trip to Pam's. I bought more than enough this time. I'll be using these into fall anyway, and it's totally not because I counted and forgot the number as soon as I got to the counter. Not at all. There were a few more trees to clear out of the crop area, and some of that wood went into my first 5 kegs. I don't have a place picked out for them yet, but they're just going outside the house. I got those loaded up with some coffee, beer and juice. It was the oak resin I actually ran out of for the kegs, but I chopped more wood anyway in the hopes of finding more mystery boxes. They really are remaining as mysterious as their name this year. I checked my fruit cave for the first time on day 54 to find there were only forageable fruits in here. Rubbish. Sure, there are some early fall fruits, but fall is literally 2 days away. The travelling merchant had something better. I bought an orange there, or maybe she stole it from my cave and sold it to me, who knows. I had a much grander purchase on my mind after that. I wanted to buy the mermaid's pendant to propose to Pam. I completely forgot I have to upgrade my house first to have space for a wife though. Yikes. Thankfully, I had enough gold to ask Pam for that extension. We shall remain cursed for a few extra days. I wish I noticed before I visited her that she was in need of a flounder, but I'm not afraid of an extra walk in the rain, especially for a prize ticket. This is an important one. I collected 3 more mystery boxes, and with the other 2 I had at home, I could complete the helper's bundle, for which my thanks was the Stardrop tea. On day 55 I replaced the harvested crop spots with summer forage seeds to hold the sprinkler spots for me. I could have just planted more wheat, but I was sure this curse would be over relatively soon, so I want to have the option to plant larger quantities of other crops. To show you how optimistic I am, I made another full quality sprinklers. I would have made more, but I ran out of ores, so I gladly mined my afternoon away. On day 56, I said goodbye to the last of the melons in the crop field and planted up a whole bunch more forage seeds. I know there are no sprinklers in some of the spaces, but I was confident I'd remember to make more today. I was already in a good mood knowing I had the items to complete Pam's own bundle in the community centre and got 2 more kegs for my beer production. I should mention, I know I could have gone with Pale Ale too for money, but we can look at that next year. I got those sprinklers placed and got some tappers ready for when the tree farm is grown, but these won't be enough. I'm gonna need a lot more copper for tappers and kegs, so I mined for more until the Moonlight Jellies Festival, where all the Pams, and Hayley apparently, came to watch the phenomenon of these bioluminescent wiggly wobbly friends on their yearly visit to the shallows, marking the end of another season. I love the feel of beginning a brand new season with a bountiful harvest. Look at all this wheat! Oh, and the sunflowers I suppose, though I might avoid replanting those if I can help it. I had some broccoli, pumpkin and wheat seeds on hand, then brought the real Pam some pale ale she wrote to me about on my way to buy more seeds. I wanted at least one of most things, but went a little extra on the yams so that glazed yams might be an option. I kinda regret getting the fairy seeds here. I spent a whole grand on them when I could just get them from mixed flower seeds, and you might notice I didn't buy any pumpkins and opted to go with majority wheat again. I have no idea when it's going to rain for the mariner to visit, so for now I just need to assume I'm under this curse until we see it pop up on the weather forecast. Plus I might find pumpkins in the regular mixed seeds too. With the trees now grown, I prioritised the oak trees with my available tappers, and the corn juice I've had in the keg was finally ready, so today I completed the alcohol-free bundle and came home with another preserves jar. With a few mead and pale ales, I made back enough gold to top up my balance so we can afford the mermaid's pendant whenever the opportunity arises. Then it looks like Penny was feeling more like herself for her birthday on day 58. I brought her a melon in the library. I wasn't going to let this great luck day go to waste. I spent it in the mine. I needed to farm for coal for all that smelting too, plus I had Clint's cave patrol as my first special order, so I targeted the bats whilst I was at it. I didn't finish that quest today, but I felt like it was a productive enough one with all of these metal bars I could bring home. I got right back to the bat slaying the next day. I really don't recommend doing this without Monster Musk. Obviously, I worked on it a lot of yesterday, and without doing anything else on this day, it still took me until after 10 PM to destroy my 50th bat. The 6 grand was well worth it though. On day 60, I chopped a single farm tree for a request for Robin. She'd asked for 30 wood, but she paid me and didn't bother taking it. My price ticket for the Cave Patrol quest was the Stardrop tea. Then I decided I procrastinated enough on the new season's fishing and brought my rod to the town river to catch a tiger trout and a salmon. With those, I completed the Down by the Bridge bundle for a recycling machine and the Rainy Night Recipes bundle for a fish smoker. That'll be awesome one day. Today's fishing didn't take long, so I had the whole evening free to go back to my favourite place, the mines. I even got another ancient seed from a bug whilst I was mining for all the copper. On day 61, I hit level 9 farming, harvesting all of my wheat, and I'm still in beer production mode, so I bought another 100 to replant. I'm gonna need to save some of my money with the rain coming in tomorrow, but I could spare some gold for a couple of vault bundles. Starting with the 2500 gold bundle, I got a few red plates, one of Penny's love gifts, but for the 5 grand bundle, I got a stupid paper hat. I came home to get another batch of beer in. These should net me a bit of daily income. I got that replanting done, then I had the idea to make the farm maybe a little bit more presentable before the original Pam moves in, and bought a few path recipes from Robin. Shame I changed my mind when I got back. I just made the remaining tapas the tree farm needed and went to bed so I could race over to the Old Mariner in the rain to buy the mermaid's pendant the next morning. I don't care how drenched I got, I brought it straight over to the Pam trailer, but it wasn't her at home, it was Penny, upset about the mess. I helped clean the place up. I thought it would be a nice surprise for Pam to come home to a clean place, and it was a good chance for me to spend time with another future family member, but when the real Pam walked in, we didn't get the reaction we expected. Pam and Penny had quite the row whilst I awkwardly stood by with the pendant in my pocket. I don't think today's the day for a proposal. I don't want her answer to come out of emotion. We remain cursed for at least another day, so for the rest of this one, I dried off in the mines gathering copper. On day 63, Penny wrote to me apologising for what happened yesterday. She told me to forget it happened, and believe me, I've been trying. Seems the main Pam has moved on from those events, so it felt like a good time as any to pop the pendant. Her initial reaction, or lack thereof, worried me a bit, but I could breathe again when she said yes. The end of the curse is near. I just gotta get that wedding over with, and once the curse is broken, I can find a partner for real. I left Pam to the wedding planning and made a couple more sprinklers for the farm. I kind of wandered around the place a lot, questioning my life choices a little, and chopped a single tree so Robin could take a look at the wood again. The yams were ready on day 64, but having realised I also need to buy the sugar to make the glazed yams, I just replaced them all with wheat. I got a handful of mystery boxes opened and got some free pumpkin seeds amongst the loot, but I was really hoping to score a book cheaply before I visit the bookseller. From Marcello, I purchased the cheapest book available that was also requested by the bookshelf bundle, which happened to be a woodcutter's weekly for 5,000 gold. I still had plenty of cash left over to buy more wheat seeds, then donating that book to the community centre, I got a bookshelf to display all the books I no longer own. How thoughtful. Oh well, that's room number 2 done, the bulletin board. I suppose I do also have an empty room in my house. There we go. Much better. I checked in on Pam to see how the wedding planning was going, and to check if the wedding was still actually going ahead. She offered to make us some coffee, but needed some help plugging the coffee machine back in, as Penny had unplugged it before she left that morning. It seems to say that she doesn't really make coffee here often, but I couldn't think long on that one, because she mentioned how close I was standing to her. Given I'm supposed to marry her in a few days, I decided not to step away, and it was Penny's turn for an awkward entrance. She wasn't all that happy about how close Pam and I have gotten, and it took Pam some time to find out what was actually wrong. I guess Pam never even told her we were dating? We're freaking engaged! I stood by another row, still processing the fact that Pam hadn't told her daughter, though apparently I felt the need to say something in this moment. I'm gonna be honest, I don't like either of these options, because it is what it looks like, but I wouldn't want to dismiss Penny's feelings either. I had to prioritise the wedding, so I, a little sheepishly, told Penny to respect her mother's decision, and it wasn't exactly shocking that she stormed off to her room in response, so upset that she phased through the door. Pam wanted to have a chat with her about it all, so I gladly took my leave, but then remembered I had a gift with me for Penny. Seems she very quickly accepted the situation, because she was now more upset about living in a trailer, but an emerald definitely helped cheer her up. I took a stroll up the mountain so I could bring Demetrius some refined quartz, because he had a prize ticket for me, then carried on walking upwards for another evening in the mines. This time, I'm not looking for ores. I need to squish enough bugs to get 100 bug meat for Willie's weekly quest, though I didn't even make it halfway by the end of the night. On day 65, I had a massive crops to deal with. I just love how fast wheat grows, so I'm gonna grow some more. No idea how I've tolerated my basic pickaxe for over half of the year, but I was finally ready for an upgrade and handed it over to Clam. I passed Piams on my way home because, what a shocker, I needed to top up on wheat seeds. The curse is about to be over, but I've decided to shake things up a little compared to most of my other farms. During the seasons we can grow wheat and hops, and whilst I still have a supply of them to process, I want to try and have my main money makers be beer and pale ale rather than only wine. I can still make wine if I run out of wheat and hops, but for summer and fall, I should use those options instead and carry on doing so until I'm almost out of them. I could get back to the bug squashing again that afternoon, and without my pickaxe with me, I can't get distracted by the prospect of mining. Even then, it took till almost midnight to get the remainder of the bug meat I needed. I'll donate it at a more reasonable hour. I had to get back home to sleep so I could wake up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed for my wedding. With this eerie assembly of the Pams, I would say it might be hard to know if the real Pam is up there with me, but the omelette she brought up to the altar with her told me she's the right one. She put the omelette away to reveal her wedding attire. Why just a white dress when you can be a whole white rectangle? I was ready to hear the vows, but Lewis skipped right to the kiss. Look at that, the townies are back to normal. I think it worked. Life really will be different from now on, and the future really does look bright. I could tell the sight of all this beer was making Pam happy to be a part of the farm, at least for now. Maybe she really just married me for the beer actually, because she seems a little repulsed by me. I'm not going to divorce her on her wedding day, that would be cruel. I had plenty of other stuff to take care of anyway, and why is the bus still so Pammy? Something doesn't quite seem right. I got on with my to-do list for now, like dropping off that bug meat for Willy, collecting my next couple of prize tickets, returning Linus's berry basket, then informing the wizard that I thought I should have broken the curse, but I was still seeing some of Pam where there shouldn't be. He'll write to me when he's looked into it, but for right now, I should stick to the restrictions until I know it's safe not to, so I just foraged blackberries to eat for the rest of the day. On day 67, I wanted to check out what Pam had done to her spouse room and found it looking a lot more like Abigail's taste. I think this is actually the default one for the mod, and I couldn't find a specifically dedicated spouse room for Pam anywhere, so let me know if this exists in the comments, because if there is, I'm curious. Stepping outside, I had some more wheat to harvest, and eagerly checked the mail to find the wizard already had some news.
Dear Emma, well done on breaking the curse so much faster than I anticipated. I suppose the congratulations are in order for your new marriage. So long as you remain married to Pam, you should no longer be bound by the limitations of your curse, so feel free to gift and sell anything you wish. However, I do note that there are still some lingering energies, so you may still see some lasting side effects for quite some time around the valley. I can only hope that they gradually wear off. M. Rasmodius.
This is not good news. We're stuck with Pam. I guess I just need to get used to it. At least the other effects are just visual and not truly harmful, just harmful to my eyeballs. Oh well, I can start shipping all the stuff I've ordered now. My shipping tab is gonna look so much better after all of this, though like I said, just for fun, I'll still be heavily focusing my main income on beer and pale ale in the kegs, maybe a little bit of mead too. I can also start gifting more of a variety of stuff towards all the friendships I've been neglecting, and that includes Jodie's birthday, but we'll ignore the fact that her and Penny have diamonds in common as a love gift. You have no idea how excited I was to buy these pumpkin seeds from Pierre. I can make a few pickles to sell now too. I didn't forget to pick up my pickaxe from Clint's, which I brought with me to the mines, not to do any mining, but to fill up my backpack with the boots and weapons I've been storing to finally sell to the Adventurers Guild. I kept the obsidian edge in case I want it later, and checking in with Gil, I had an insect head I immediately sold to add to my earnings a little more. Most of all though, it was the shipping income I was looking forward to tonight. All that hoarded stuff brought in almost 13.5 grand. On day 68, I grew my keg collection and moved them all indoors. I had to move the furniture around to plan for more in the future. In this house, kegs come first. I got Clint started on my steel axe upgrade before browsing through the travelling cart items to find anything for the community centre. I didn't need anything here, but I accidentally bought an eel. I can't even blame the curse for this one, an entire grand gone just like that. I don't think you'll be surprised when I told you that the mines made for a perfect Friday. Once again, not much actual mining. I really needed more coal again from the dust sprites. Day 69 was indeed nice. It added to my countless wheat harvests. In another effort to make up some more gold, I cleared some forage out of my storage and turned them into seeds to sell because it's worth more to sell them this way. I had a particularly valuable donation for the museum today. One of yesterday's monsters dropped me my 4th and final dwarf scroll. I don't remember the earliest I've ever gotten the Dwarvish translation guide, but this certainly feels like it's somewhere on my personal leaderboard. I wasn't expecting it at all. I bought even more pumpkin seeds from Pierre whilst we still have a limited window to grow them. Then that evening, Penny asked me to come over and chat in an effort to get along for Pam. I brought an emerald with me to help with that, but when I got there, I only found Pam there instead, as bewildered as I was. It looks like Penny wanted to surprise us both with a date. Aside from the fact it was at Penny's home, Pam knew it was her because there was a hopefully now cooked frozen pizza on the table for us to share. Penny's not that much of a cook. She came around to the idea of us after all, and she really does have to get used to it now. It was at this point that Pam admitted she does want to keep me around, and I felt like I should really say it back. She doesn't need to know what my plans were before. Maybe we could make a decent pair, even if it was just through the enjoyment of pizza. I tracked down Penny outside to thank her, though her follow-up was to ask me if either actions or intentions are more important. I genuinely think that, well, depending on the situation, it should really be both. What weird timing for a question like that. Anyway, before turning in for the night, I blew up the rock in the mines cave so I could bring the dwarf an initial gift. I didn't buy anything from their shop today. My next spending target is the vault room, and having shipped a load more stuff I've been saving in my chests, this 15 grand I got overnight is really going to help with that, as will this next pumpkin and wheat harvest for the pickles and beer. I did spend a few grand at the travelling cart that day on a couple of seafoam pudding, considerably cheaper than Pierre sold it at the Moonlight Jelly Festival. My next stop was Clint's to collect my steel axe, followed by Pierre's shop. There, I bought a single fairy rose seed, having accidentally harvested the one producing the extra valuable honey, and I got a load more wheat and pumpkin seeds. I brought those home to the soil before chopping my way into the secret woods so I could finally obtain my first mahogany seed, then delivered Marnie a cave carrot for her goats and some amaranth for her cows. I barged past her into her room to snatch Lewis's shorts from the ground, which I returned to him promptly just outside. I didn't feel like messing with him this time, I was just after some extra cash. That mahogany seed I brought over to the crafts room in the community centre to complete the brave little sapling bundle and got an extra tapper for my efforts. My tree farm's already full, so I just slapped it on the oak tree closest to my house. I cleared some of the unwanted trees close to it, and this tapper will serve to indicate when the rest of them are done at the tree farm once they're synchronised. I gave Clint more of my business again in the form of a pickaxe upgrade, and whilst that's in progress, I could take care of the farm trees, which had gotten pretty messy again across the place. I wasn't sure my oak resin production will be enough, so I started another smaller oak tree farm, then noticed that it was a new week, and I need to pick out a new special order. I don't have any chickens, and I might soon find fibre seeds useful, so I'm going with community cleanup. I ended my evening with a gift to the dwarf again, then followed it up with another the first thing on day 72. I wanted to buy the dwarf Reco again in case I forget it later on, also forgetting I already got one for free. It was the Stardew Valley Fair today. I'd selected some of my best farm produce, including the only ancient fruit I ever harvested before the plant got struck by lightning. I said hello to everyone at the first festival where everyone didn't look the same, whilst Lewis was doing the judging, and with that, the Helianthus farm took the blue ribbon. I won! I used my 1000 token prize to spin the wheel till I had enough tokens to trade for the fair's rarecrow, the prize ticket, and my next star drop. Sadly, still another lingering curse effect here. The taster reminds me of Pam. Moving on to day 73, I brought some trash I already kept at home to the big recycling bin by the train station so I can just focus on catching the rest. I like doing this at the bathhouse fountain and found a dig spot close by which had a bone in and a Jack Be Nimble book for some extra defense. A few catches in with Linus supervising, I realised I could collect my pickaxe today, then it was back up to the bathhouse fountain where I stayed till I finished the quest in the night. It wasn't quite so late that I couldn't collect my ticket prizes though, an apple sapling and a Friendship 101 book which I flicked through without even leaving the place. On day 74, I'd become quite the skilled wheat harvester and reached level 10 farming. For Marnie's birthday today, I brought her one of those pink cakes I didn't know what to do with, and looped back uptown to Pierre's to buy a last lot of pumpkin seeds with my regular refill of wheat seeds. It might have seemed a bit late to plant the pumpkins, but they'll be ready just on time in the deluxe speed grow spots. Marnie's birthday gift motivated me to hand out a few more and work on some friendships, then I crashed into bed early from all the socialising to become an artisan for my level 10 farming profession. On day 75, I slowed down a little to lay some pathing on the farm, a job I really meant to do before Pam moved in, and I didn't leave the farm till the evening when I brought Caroline one of my precious pumpkins for Abigail to craft for Spirit's Eve. I then foraged a little at the beach, then pulled out a load of spare produce and forage from my chest so I can make another 14.5 grand. Before spending it on day 76, I brought my tools to the hidden path near the town minecarts and broke the big log and the big rock. Clearly it was a difficult task. I had to stop and take a breather for 3 in-game hours. Once I recovered, I looted the golden trash can at the end. It's a very special treasure container with the alleyway buffet book inside for a greater chance to find items in the trash. Now for a big spend. I came in here having forgotten I already paid the 10 grand bundle, and I can't tell you which day it was, but I do know I got a butterfly hutch for it. That leaves a 25 grand bundle. Let me tell you, the relief I felt when I saw that I still get a crystallarium, followed by the delight of completing a whole nother room. Boss repair incoming. I trotted off home. I wanted to get my crystallarium set up with a jade for staircases for future Skull Caverns trips. I then farmed some coal in the mines for Clint and gathered some gold ore for upgrades, leaving the place when Clint would be at the saloon so he could inspect the coal. He can't have any of it, nor my ores. Some of mine went into 6 more kegs tonight, and despite having forgotten to record day 77, past me left a note I say I just mined for copper. Oh, no I didn't. It was iron and gold, so you really didn't miss much. On day 78, I worked through my wheat farming and beer making duties before cutting down some long grass in a previously unused section of the farm. I guess Robin's presence here means that I must have asked for something to be built yesterday. We'll find out what it was when it's done. I'd prefer if the animals could spend their time in one of these fenced areas, so I cleared one of them out so I can move the building later. It was this day that I realised I've had my steel tools for a while now, and I've not checked out the blocked off parts in my other farm cave. It's called the Hot Spring Cave for a reason. I now have my very own natural spa to recover some energy from all those trees I just chopped. Nothing can beat this, even if it smells a little funny in here. I was searching through the town trash on day 79 when I used my menu to check the bulletin board request to see that Demetrius needed some green algae. How convenient, Gus just threw one of those away. I also needed a new special order for the week, and I wasn't feeling the albacore fishing, so I'll help Robin with her hardwood project. I headed up to Demetrius' kitchen to hand over the algae and got a prize ticket in return. I'm not sure handing out explosives as a prize is a smart idea, but I'll sure take them. What kind of a mare do we have here? Back on the farm, I tracked down some of those large logs towards Robin's project, and gathered some more stumps from the secret woods too, and by the time I was ready for bed, I could get the next batch of beer in. I mostly won't be mentioning this, it's an almost daily thing, especially whilst I still have the week, just know it's happening. On day 80, I gave Pam one of the beers I saved on a day she just felt like sleeping. That's just as well, I just added a bus without Pam mod. The bus has been repaired for several days now, and I haven't been forgetting to go. When she's married, her schedule already has her working at the bus stop less often, but I also seem to have a bug where she'd often get frozen somewhere in the bus stop path, so she never actually makes it to work. Who needs Pam to drive the bus when everything about the bus already looks like Pam? I was in the desert to pick up all the forage, and traded for some desert totems, triple shot espressos, and spicy eels. I also had my fishing rod with me so I could reel in 3 sandfish. The reason I needed 3 of them is because the sandfishing bundle needs all 3! I'd call it greedy, but I got 3 more desert totems as a reward, so it felt like a fair enough trade. But with that, the fish tank bundles are now all complete. As a progress checkup, I now need some raisins, an apple, and some cheese for the pantry. I had a cactus fruit for the play with paint bundle, and someone's definitely been playing with paint for this reward. Anyway, for the rest of the crafts room, this hungry Junimo will accept a bunch of foods I need to obtain, and the last bundle I forgot to show off is just waiting for some winter forage, a few days away. I dropped by Marnie's for her first working day of the week to get a new barn resident. Yeah, the building was a barn. Of course it's getting a cow. I'm gonna call it Pam. Some parts of my brain are still cursed, I guess, though this one seemed to have some wider consequences because we can get some actual farmable barn pans. I got 2 of them. I chopped the secret wood stump whilst I was out this way, then dropped off 80 hardwood I already had to Robin's, so the quest will mark itself complete once I finish chopping the rest. That way, I avoid failing it if I forget to hand it in until after the door locks on Sunday or something. From there, I walked back into town in the rain to bring George a birthday gift, and came home to check on all the barn pans, and set up a chest in there with some hay because I don't have a silo yet. Farming all that week definitely had its perks. On day 81, I brought Sandy a sweet pea to begin building her friendship on my trip to the desert to bring my prismatic shard to the pillars and get me a galaxy sword. Digging up a palm fossil there was a nice bonus. Good cue to pick up some museum pieces at home ready for donation, but before doing that, I popped to the mines to smelt some more copper for the silo I want to ask Robin to build. On my way over there, I found Willie inspecting the space where the big glittering boulder used to be. Apparently, its destruction means we can now find ores in the water, and Willie had a spare pan for me, so I can get some too. I got Robin started on my silo, which fit perfectly next to the abandoned greenhouse. That'll be ready just in time for winter. Then coming home to put away the forage I picked up through the day, I noticed I still had those artifacts in my backpack. I better go drop those off. I didn't remember to check the rewards. My remembering space for this evening was reserved for gathering hardwood from the secret woods. On day 82, my crop field was full of wheat and pumpkins. What a wonderful start to the day. Well, it was, until I chopped down this tree to find the ominous sight of these barn Pams enjoying the fresh autumnal air. Inside the barn, they left me some beers. Yes, that's what they produce in here. I'm not sure I want to ask Marnie what sort of operation she's running over there. I got out of the farm for the next stump chopping and hit the hardwood target to complete this week's special order. That's an extra $2 in my pocket, though I'd rather have just excluded this hat from the price ticket machine. I mined for copper despite the bad luck for the rest of the day. Some bad luck day, I got a replacement ancient seed. The last of the pumpkins were ready on day 83. I hadn't bothered saving the sprinkler spots for the end of this season this time because I'm probably going to rearrange them all. I did do one thing for winter prep today though. I bought a heater for the barn and a milk pail for the single cow. I had more mining to do for gold and iron to keep me busy till the Spirit Eve festival, but I wanted to leave with enough time to access the back room in the Adventurers Guild and read the copy of the Mapping Cave Systems book waiting for me. I don't plan to die, but you never know what'll happen. I was excited about tonight's festivities. The town was decorated with some spooky theming, but I wasn't scared. Nothing was spookier than our cursed half year. The chill in the air Lewis mentioned? That's me. I'm chill. I bought the rarecrow and the jack-o'-lantern recipe, then took a pleasant stroll through the maze to beat everyone to the golden pumpkin prize at the end. See? I love this holiday. On day 84, I added 11 more kegs to the keg room and took my scythe to most of the long grass around the farm to fill the silo. I took the bus out to the desert to trade for staircases and bombs for whenever I'm ready to do my first girl Caverns Run on this farm, then visited Morrow a little later on to bring her a super cucumber for her project. She paid me 750 gold for it, then I just about caught Robin as she finished work so I can move my barn to its permanent spot in the dedicated animal pen. But this final evening before the cold of winter sets in, I did a lap around Cindersap Forest to scoop up any remaining fall forage before it goes away for the year, and almost went to bed without picking this last fairy rose. Poor thing, I'll keep it aside for a future gift. On day 85, I closed the barn door to keep that draft out and found the cow had now grown so I could get my first bottle of milk. This one's not going to be shipped. I need to turn my first couple into cheese for the community centre. A startled shadow person at the bus stop led me over to a random bush in town and handed me a magnifying glass to find secret notes. Then I can't believe it's taken me to the 1st of winter, but at long last, I bought the 10 grand backpack upgrade. That curse really did a number on my brain. It was also about time I bought an iridium rod. I completely skipped the fiberglass one this time, and using all the deluxe bait I've been saving up, I fished the whole afternoon at the pier just for fun. Nah, just kidding. The curse didn't wreck my brain that much. Well, maybe it hurt my reaction times a little. I had the biome balance special order to complete this week, and to keep myself focused, I avoided frequently checking my journal to see how many fish I had left to catch. This was a good opportunity to make myself work on my fishing level. There's level 7. I caught my 20th fish in the evening. That squid, I'll be saving for Squidfest, and the prize ticket got me a fish smoker. Brilliantly on theme for the quest. On day 86, I picked up all of my sprinklers and rearranged them. I won't be getting loads of iridium ones for a while, though I'll be happy if I can cover this field in quality ones this season. My second portion of cheese was ready by then, so I brought it to the community centre with an apple for the teacher's bundle. One of the cheeses completed the chili to farmer bundle, which rewarded me with an early heavy furnace. A holly from outside completed the field trip foraging bundle, which gave me a woodcutter's weekly. Then the last cheese was for the very hungry Junimo bundle, which just got me a puzzle table. We're gonna ignore that reward, because the craft room is now restored. I'll have access to the quarry soon, and the community can have access to this puzzle table here, because personally, I don't need it. I headed over to Pierre's next to get the dehydrator recipe I've been avoiding. I'm gonna need this to make raisins. I was hoping to see one in the prize ticket machine, which doesn't look like it's gonna be here anytime soon. I would still like to be collecting prize tickets over time, so I grabbed some gold ore from the mines for Clint to inspect. I had to go back to the mines briefly, having forgotten to pick up some fire quartz, and I needed to take out some lava crabs, because Demetrius really did have a prize ticket for me. I got some artifact rows for it, and honestly, it was a relief not seeing a dehydrator in the lineup still, having just spent the 10 grand on the recipe. I better just make one myself, or 4 apparently, and got some raisins and dried crystal fruits going. Those won't be ready till tomorrow, so I added some lighting to the sprinklers out here, and placed back down the basic sprinklers at the bottom end of the field. I might as well still use them for now. On day 87, I shipped the dried crystal fruits and one of the raisins for the shipping collection, along with the usual beer. I took a coconut out with me to give Linus for his birthday, then the other box of raisins were designated for the teacher's bundle, and its reward? A dehydrator? What kind of sick joke is this? I didn't have time to let the rage boil up inside me, because the Junimos made their appearance to refurbish the pantry and the kitchen. That's the last bundle in the building, so it was time to bid the little Junimos farewell. Thank goodness they weren't Pam Cursed. I do wish I kept up chopping hardwood in the secret woods after Robin's project though. I'm gonna have my work cut out to be able to get the boat to Ginger Island fixed. Still no rest for me today. I had to handle a red slime bounty in the mines to get another few hundred gold from Lewis, and carried on working on the farm by getting my bee houses set back up whilst the bees are asleep, and I placed some more paths around the crop field. The Junimos repaired the greenhouse and evicted a raccoon overnight. Then, on day 88, I finally felt sufficiently physically and mentally prepared to unlock the Daughter Skull Caverns for my first adventure here. I was in need of iridium for, well, various things, but right now, mainly the boat repair. I'll happily take any prizzies too though. My first treasure room wasn't till floor 59, and inside was a white turban, but the next one on floor 88 was hilarious. It just had some parsnip seeds inside, but it came up with the message we get on day 1 from Lewis. I don't know if this is a bug or intentional, but either way, I love it. That's enough of a loot spoiler for now. I'll let you know that on this first Skull Caverns dive on this farm, I passed out on floor 118 for the night and picked the blacksmith profession, having hit level 10 mining. And now, it's time for the farm's first loot review. You saw the parsnip seeds and the turban, but I also got a red slime egg which I'll probably just sell. I got over 200 iridium ore down there, I'm proud of that, and I can't believe I came home with 3 prismatic shards amongst all the ores and gems. The dino egg, I'll be saving till I can incubate it. That's an incredible first run. On my way to the secret woods, I checked the travelling cart and bought the lobster there. I often have trouble catching them, so now I need one less between Gus's quest and the cooking recipe than I could leave to clear out all the hardwood. As soon as I got into town, I found all the villagers celebrating in and around the fully fixed up community centre. I gladly received the Stardew Valley Hero Trophy. I managed something the town's own mayor couldn't. Then Morris showed his stupid face, wondering where his customers were. Not gonna lie, I hadn't stepped into Joja here really, so I kind of forgot he existed, and I don't feel bad about it in the slightest. He'll be even more forgettable in his new location in space. I displayed my shiny new trophy in my house and refilled my kegs before handing off my next batch of donations to the museum. My first iridium bars were ready by then, which would be more exciting if I didn't still have 55 hardwood to collect for the boat. That was my first job for day 90, and given how often I need to do this, I might skip telling you about it every single time. I was feeling some farm decorating today in the form of placing a load more paths, and once I had enough of that night, I brought a topaz to the dwarf from whom I bought the dwarfish safety manual. Less bomb damage will be handy now I'm occasionally visiting Skull Caverns. On day 91, I spent 25 grand on an auto grabber so I don't have to remember to milk the cow, and the Pams can store their beers in there. I brought Caroline one of my best summer spangles for her birthday, and continued today's spending spree at Robin's this time. I bought the big chest recipe, and asked her to build me a coop. The Pams don't want to live in there, but I'm gonna need other animals for perfection. I need friendships for perfection too, so I commenced an afternoon and evening of running around the whole town delivering gifts, including one extra one for Emily, the amethyst as a favour for Clint, which I didn't deny the credit for. On day 92, I smashed the ice fishing competition with my 6 big slimy fish, and took home some prizes. Lewis tried to make up their quality with some quantity and it did not work. Day 93 was mostly occupied by a gift spree, but I also set up my greenhouse with a few sprinklers to grow the 4 ancient seeds I've been saving. I don't want a mass crop for them, but I will still need some for the missing bundle. Then checking on the Pams and feeding them, I noticed that the beers weren't being left on the floor or the auto grabber. I do check this a couple of times in the coming days, but they never stored their beers in here, so I will be removing it soon because I think there's a bug. I crafted another 14 kegs on day 94. The keg room's now out of space, but I know Pam won't mind if they overflow into the main part of the house. I brought Sebastian a frozen tear for his birthday whilst disturbing him as minimally as possible, then visited Willie to take a look at this rotting wreck in his back room. He said that he'd have repaired it himself, but he didn't have the materials. Well, isn't this Willie's lucky day? I just so happened to be carrying all the materials the boat needs in the exact quantity required. What a coincidence. The boat will be repaired overnight. I topped up on farm wood following this morning's keg crafting. I think I was hoping to hit level 10 foraging that night too, but I ran out of energy before I could get there. My plan for day 95 was to hunt for the prismatic slime, but I was going to have to come up with more plans because I found and slayed it just after 10 AM and brought it over to the wizard around lunchtime. The prize ticket from that special order just got me a houseplant, then I caught the bookseller in town and picked up a copy of Way the Wind Part 1. With my now freed up afternoon, I went back to the mines for iron. On day 96, I woke up to a house full of beer. Judging by the rest of the contents of my backpack, I think I wanted to take the boat to Ginger Island for the first time, except when I got to the beach, I was reminded that today is the first of Squidfest. I stored all my island supplies in my crabbing chest and sprinted home to craft a bait maker to process my first squid. I brought it with me to the pier for the squid fishing and caught the 8 that I needed for the iridium target in just a few hours. I claimed all my prizes, planning to leave them all in the beach chest for now, except the Art of Crabbing book, which I flicked through immediately. I'm glad I left my island supplies down here. I still have the whole afternoon free for island exploration. I collected my first walnuts and tent kits in the jungle, and fed one of my walnuts to this parrot in the treehouse. The kid up there was too shy to approach, so I got out of his safe space for now, and raced around the north of the island grabbing as many walnuts as I could. I got the west turtle out of the way that evening, cleared some space to plant some seeds, and chopped all the stumps and logs for hardwood so I could get to level 10 foraging. Noticing the hour, I thought I should probably grab the walnuts from this region. I didn't quite get enough to restore the farmhouse, so I crawled into a tent for a kip, and picked lumberjack for my level 10 foraging profession. On day 97, I realised I'd not collected the money reward for the prismatic jelly, and before I could go on with any further walnut hunting, I took the boat back to Pelican Down Beach for day 2 of Squidfest. I brought Willie one of yesterday's squid for his request. I think he's using it to cheat at Squidfest, but I could catch my next 11 squid legitimately by midday. I collected my rewards, and instead of going back to Ginger Island, I brought home all the fish and prizes, sold off my last batch of beer now that I've run out of wheat, then raced over to Robin's shortly before she closed to ask for a coop upgrade. The beer, pickles, fish, and treasure made me 22 grand that night. Then on day 98, I brought Harvey a couple of birthday beverages, a coffee and a Stardew tea to max out the friendship. I was ready to escape the wintry weather and head back to Ginger Island today. The Mossel Rocks got me enough walnuts to restore the farmhouse, but rather than go my usual route, I opted to fix the dig site bridge instead this time and used a bomb to free Professor Snail. Once I gathered the easy walnuts from this area, I cleared out all the rocks, weeds and trees. That gave me an easier time fishing and panning in this river. I was happy to be catching more walnuts, but I was really after the fossil pieces here. I did fish up the fossilized spine, which I donated with the legs and the snake head, and I did try to do the island survey, but I guessed wrong. This always happens. I'll try to pan up the fossilized tail another day. For tonight, I wanted to give the singing stone puzzle a go. It took me a few attempts, but I was pleased to win my walnuts before midnight hit, and with those, I could repair the farmhouse and get some sleep over there. On day 99, I headed back to the farm to incubate a dino egg in my newly upgraded coop. I brought the dwarf a gift whilst I was in the mines to get some more copper smelted, then I brought some gold bars from home to Clint to upgrade my pickaxe. Of course, that means my trip to the desert wasn't for skull caverns. I mean, it was a bit late to be starting that anyway, but I just wanted some more desert forage and some starfruit seeds from Sandy. One of the cactus fruits was for Haley's request. Earned myself a price ticket on my way to the first night market day. I got the mermaid show out of the way first so I could pocket a pearl, then grabbed my free cup of coffee before deciding it was too late to go on the submarine for the fishing, so we retreated to my greenhouse to plant all the starfruit. On day 100, I soaked myself in monster musk to handle Gunther's special order for 100 bone frags. I was very much regretting having cleared out the dig site. That would have made this go a lot faster, because it took me till 8:30 PM to gather all of them. I didn't even bother with a night market tonight. On day 101, I brought the wizard 2 void essences, one for his mail request and the other for his birthday. I still got shooed out of his home. I took myself into town to claim the prize ticket from Haley a couple of days ago and got a woodcutter's weekly book. I'm glad I checked my levels before I read it. I'm already maxed in foraging, so I'll save it until I can earn mastery XP. All of that made for perfect timing. Clint just opened his door so I could rescue my pickaxe from him, then I came back to the farm to add some more paths, as well as a few more basic sprinklers to fill out the bottom of the crop field. I unfortunately had to visit Clint again later on to bring him an iron bar. Between that and the donation of the bone frags to Gunther, that kept me busy until I could board the submarine at the night market. It's the last day it's here for the year, so I was really crossing my fingers that I could catch all of its exclusive fish in this single night. I'm usually most worried about the blobfish, but that one showed up first, and I was thrilled to get some help from a bubble spot, but it just kept throwing seaweed at me, and another blobfish, and a super cucumber. Okay, maybe this isn't so bad. It did also give me the spookfish, and I was relieved to see the midnight squid on my line not long after. I wanted to stay and catch more fish to put in the smoker, but I kept just catching seaweed again. I think the submarine ran out of fish. On day 102, I got a prismatic shard from a mystic stone on my very own farm quarry. I wanted a last little dose of mining before I handed my pickaxe back to Clint for its iridium upgrade. I took today to work on some farm prep for the new year. This meant planting some fiber seeds to hold the sprinkler spots so I don't have to till and water them at the start of spring. I didn't have enough seeds for all of them, but some are better than none. Then I added some more cobblestone and stepping stone paths in the area between the farm bridge and the bus stop. On day 103, I waited outside Clint's with a bunch of stuff to smash open. I know he goes out on Fridays, but I thought I'd have a couple of seconds to make use of his services just after he opened. Sadly, he leaves the building just before 9. Useless guy. My pickaxe wouldn't have been finished today anyway, but I still hung out in the mines to slay enough dust sprites to complete the monster slayer goal. I wanted that burglar ring. Just the burglar ring. I do want to replace my glowstone ring with an iridium band, and for that, I needed to get my hands on some more solar essence. Though I wasn't expecting to come home with another prismatic shard from a void spirit. I kind of forgot to bring home my extra solar essence from the mines, but it wouldn't have mattered anyway, because I still hadn't reached level 9 combat to unlock its crafting recipe. On day 104, I could collect my iridium pickaxe from Clint, but I didn't bring back my mystery boxes for opening, because this day was dedicated to gift deliveries all around town. Getting a star drop tea from my special order prize ticket will help with these friendships. Perfect timing, really. I gave it to Evelyn as part of her birthday gift. I carried on my gift giving, picking up any forage I passed, and when I got to the railroad area, I found the wizard waiting outside a blocked cave. I really should know better than to get involved in whatever he's up to, but I Uno reversed him and shoot him away this time. I already know he wants me to open the cave, can't do anything for himself. For right now though, I got places to be, people to see, friendship points to score. On day 105 I checked on my island farm, clearing out the weeds so they don't overtake my few little crops. I had a few more fossils for Professor Snail's collection, with a frog earning me a walnut, and I gave the island survey another go before I left. I got it right this time, so that's 2 more walnuts for me. I carried on north for my first volcano run. There should be plenty of golden walnuts to be found in here, and to check off another bit of perfection prep, I bought both the recipes from the dwarf on the 5th floor. I wasn't too impressed to find just a protection ring with the golden walnut on my first volcano treasure chest. The pineapple seeds in the next one weren't much better, and neither was the phoenix ring from floor 9's chest. That was all okay though, because I knew there'd be another prizzy waiting for me right at the top by the forge. My joy vanished when I saw I just got the bug killer enchantment though. I was really hoping for Crusader to make killing mummies easier. I slept on the farm that night so I could bring all my volcano loot home. Then on day 106, I got the boat straight back for a very brief visit to clear even more weeds. They tend to spawn on a Monday, and it's a good thing I came. Look how close that was to my crops. I then headed back to the home farm for the rest of the day. I had to fish up 10 perch for an overpopulation problem, and I definitely could have sped this process up with perch bait, but I really need to work on my fishing level, lagging a fair bit behind the rest. I caught my 10th perch after dark, but pushed on with a few more fish that night until my energy ran out just for the XP. On day 107, I got some more sprinklers spring ready using some sacrifice winter forage seeds to pass some time before Leah unlocked her door so I could bring her a birthday gift. I didn't want to have to go out and buy a gift, so the lucky girl gets one of my pearls. I got round to bringing all my Smashables back to Clint, mostly mystery boxes for materials and seeds and stuff, but there were a handful of museum donations in there. I unlocked new rewards with this lot, but they're not really useful, so I just left them there. The 10 hardwood I got from one of the mystery boxes went to Robin for her other project. Then, in saying hi to Caroline, I remembered I have access to a tea room, and being the last week of the year, I had tea leaves to steal. Before crawling into bed that night, I wanted to bring the dwarf another gift. I was just going to leave another bone sword in this chest here, but I stopped procrastinating and cleared out the extras to sell to the Adventurers Guild for extra cash. That made it kind of annoying getting home and seeing I forgot to bring the 2 volcano rings with me, and to add to my annoyance, this is the day I found out I didn't have the recipe for the iridium band I was desperate to craft. Leah showed up offensively early to bring me this weird gift on day 108. She called this mangled piece of wood how I feel about Emma. I don't really know what that tells me, but I know how I feel about this gift. I left it in the dark and damp hot spring cave. My price ticket for the whole day of perch fishing just got me a cow sticker. That'll just live in a chest on the island to be forgotten. I had a frog to show my melons to in exchange for his nuts. Wait. Moving on, I bribed the island's pirates into restoring the resort, and ran off home real quick to pick up a variety of gems, as well as to craft some flute blocks. I also needed to bring over some wheat seeds for the creepy frog's next quest, then took advantage of the rainy weather to track down the day's gem bird. This gave me an easier time forcing my way through the rest of the puzzle, instead of waiting for more rain and more birds to tell me the answer. And for our other rainy day island activity, I brought those flute blocks to the newly opened southeast beach to perform the mermaid her own song. I could then grab the easy to reach walnuts from this area, but I'll have to come back another day to hang with the pirates. They won't visit in this weather. Day 109 was Winter Star Day. Shame my wife isn't in a festive mood. She's still holding a grudge against me for her own subpar performance at the ice fishing competition. I got myself through the pleasantries with everyone else, then handed my secret friend Jodie a gift, a diamond which she loved. Jazz was my gift giver this year. Inside the box was a rainbow shell. I thought it was really sweet. Not literally. Please don't eat them. On day 110, I waited outside Clint's to surprise him with a birthday gift. It was more of a gift for me, really. I maxed out his friendship, so I don't have to speak to him anymore, other than for business reasons. I fished the whole day away to grind out fishing XP, refusing to leave the pier until I reached level 9, and then the following day, I had to meet another of Haley's demands, this time for a sea cucumber, when I found her struggling to open the pickle jar. Given that I had the strength to marry Pam, I had more than enough strength to open this jar. Then I could hand over that sea cucumber and be on my way. I had a stinky day planned in the mines, working on Monster Slayer goals and my combat level. Once I reached my target level 9, I made my exit and brought Gus an albacore at the saloon for his fish stew, and since today is the last for the gift week, I bought Shane a pizza and presented Willie with one of the gold bars I just smelted. On day 112, I added 6 more bee houses to the farm so I can make more mead next year, and pretty much squeeze them in wherever they could fit. The farm is about to explode with life again, so I chopped down the trees I don't need to reduce the overgrowth, then added some new friends to the coop. Chick Pam the white chicken, Feather Pam the brown chicken, ignore the spelling, it wouldn't fit, and Quam the duck. Think that's enough Pam-themed animals? No! I need another barn Pam. The newest Pam of the year. New Pam. How many times can I say Pam today? Let's make that the last. For this final day of the year, I mainly ran around town with gifts again, and whilst I was in the desert to bring one to Sandy, I made sure to top up on staircases from the trader. I got through as many gifts as I possibly could, and when I made it back home, I prepped a couple more sprinklers for the new season, and crawled into bed without even saying goodnight to my spouse. My goodness, what a weird year this has been. I wasn't expecting that in ditching the old dull corporate life for greener pastures, that I would have been subjected to all the absurdities we've experienced since our arrival. Thanks to that washed up wizard, I'm now stuck with Pam as a wife, unless I want to be extra cursed again. You know, I blame Lewis for letting the wizard stay here, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to do anything about the wizard, but I hope you're ready for next year, because I'm running for mayor. Back in my first year on the Helianthus farm, even in the face of the Pam-flavoured ordeal, it became pretty clear that Lewis doesn't exactly do the best job of running things around here. I mean, he let the heart of the town, the community centre, crumble into ruin before we came along and restored it. The waters here are filled with trash. He mails his new residents asking them to retrieve his underwear, and that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to his questionable practices, so I'm going after his job. Plus, I could do with the distraction from my home life, because I'm stuck married to Pam to keep last year's curse effects at bay, which if you missed our first year, you might want to check that out first to see how we got here. That video is linked in the corner and in the description. I'm going to put all of my energy into convincing the citizens to elect me, and then we'll hopefully be doing a much better job of running our new hometown, all whilst working towards the classic perfection goals. All of the ones I use will be linked in the description too, and hit that like button to vote me in as mayor. Get yourselves cozy whilst I overthrow Lewis, and now, let's head into Pelican Town. We've got a lot of work to do this year. It's the crack of dawn on a new year, so we have Kent on our doorstep, eager to let me know of his return. Despite the hour, I gave him a very warm welcome to the valley, but I made his visit very quick because this farm is a mess. I'm still going to be focusing on beer and pale ale production when wheat and hops are in season, but that's not now. Of course, we're going to plant plenty of the newly available garlic, and I got some of each crop ready to cook with later. One of my main moneymakers this spring will be cauliflower, and the other will be rhubarb, which I bought from Sandy in the desert on my way home to get that planting done. It took a while because I had to water a lot of it too, then I brought the dwarf a gift at the mines. I was up for some coal farming, but before diving in, I wanted to check the status of my Monster Slayer goals. I wasn't expecting to find Lewis here, at this hour too. He was getting an earful from Marlon about the monster problem, and how he isn't taking the safety of his citizens seriously. With that particular issue, all he really does is post a bounty note on the bulletin board and hope that someone, me, handles it for him. It's pretty clear to everyone that Lewis has got complacent in his role as Pelican Town's mayor. Election time is just around the corner, and nobody's run against him for years. Until now. With a bit of encouragement from Marlon and Gil, I'll see if I can win the town over, listen to them, bring Pelican Town the changes it desperately needs. Heck, I've already done more than our so-called leader in the single year that I've lived in this town. Marlon will even deal with all the paperwork for me so I can get on with some of the things I do best, gathering loot whilst controlling the monster population. Seems the Stardew Valley Electoral Commission was as eager as Marlon and Gil. I already received a very official-looking confirmation the very next morning. I'm officially in the running for Pelican Town Mayor, with the election to be held on the 18th of spring. That date feels important already for some reason. Why does it feel important? Anyway, I need to get campaigning soon. Not today. Today, I checked on my animals and found my dino egg from last year had hatched in the coop. We're sticking with Pam-themed names, so this is Scaly Pam. I popped to the secret woods for a bit of hardwood, then ghost hunted in the mines until one of them dropped a very curious substance, some ectoplasm. The wizard needs one of those, so I brought it to him at his tower, and it looks like he's already believing in me to become the new mayor. I handed out some gifts around town and found a whole scorpion carp in Jodie's trash. What's the story there? Pierre was at the resort today, so I could shop his store after hours from the box. I didn't immediately need anything, but I bought the grass starter recipe just because I could. Lewis was on his way back from the island by then. We wished each other good luck for the election. He didn't seem too bothered, but clearly it was affecting him more than he let on, given that he had to run off for a vacation day. The starfruit I planted last year was ready in the greenhouse on day 115. There were a handful of ancient fruit too, and I'll be turning most of that into wine whilst the wheat and hops are out of season, so I might as well get some more starfruit seeds. We definitely have time for more starfruit wine before summer. All that planting made me realise I'd not visited Ginger Island yet this year, so I rushed over there to clear the new weeds, which were close to consuming my crops. Glad I got here in time. I could show the cave frog my wheat. I'll have to come back another day to plant some garlic, then I spent the rest of the day clearing out the remaining farm mess, finding not one, but 2 snake vertebrae. After finishing up in the west of the island, I brought them to Professor Snail, completing my next fossil display. That's 3 walnuts for me and a mango sapling. On day 116, I received some leaflets in the mail that Marlon made for me to help me convince the town to vote me as mayor. Given that I've only talked about the monster problem with Marlon, I imagine that's the only thing on the leaflet, but let's be honest, any amount of effort is more than what Lewis will be putting in. Before I can work on that, I had to take advantage of the rainy weather because the legend fish is active in the mountain lake today. Even with the boost from a seafoam pudding, it took me a few attempts to actually make the catch, but I was glad to have it over with. Anytime I was near anybody, I handed them a leaflet. I think these increase your friendship a bit like gifts do, but you get unique responses for it. To help track my campaigning efforts, I bought a telephone from Robin. I'll show you how that works later. Friendship is super important for earning votes, so I needed to make sure I got Kent's birthday gift to him. I was surprised to find he wasn't at the saloon, but I took the opportunity to hand out more leaflets to anyone there who didn't have full friendship or wasn't my competition. Some will have to give another time though if I've already given them 2 gifts this week. I tracked down Kent, who was on his way home from the island resort, starting with the golden pumpkin for his birthday, then the warm memento so that I could take the tomato salt to Gus, and the Stardew Valley rose to Sandy. George locks his door at 8, so he'll have to wait. I set up my phone by the front door before bed. There's a new option in here to check on the polling data managed by Marlon. 22 out of 28 voters are already going to pick me thanks to all the work we put into friendships. I'll have to figure out and work on the remaining 6. And as for the debate, that's an event that will just happen naturally before the election. You'll see it at a later date. I could bring that TV remote to George the next day, who traded me for an Arctic shard. This seems fit for a wizard, who reluctantly handed over this worm. Hardly a fair trade, but he did seem pleased with the contents of my campaign leaflet at least. I grabbed some garlic and cauliflower seeds from Pierre's on my way to give Willie that worm for bait. He gave me a pirate's locket, perfectly timed for a trip to Ginger Island where all those seeds got planted. Kinda forgot to give the pirate's locket to Birdie though. I made my way to the dig site and cleared the place out whilst really waiting to pan up the fossilized tail, but there was only one panning spot all evening which just had some copper ore. Thankfully, it made its appearance early on day 118. Just the skull and the bat to go for the tent now, and I did also get that pirate's locket to Birdie. Back in the valley, I got Clint to smash some stuff open for me. I was mostly after the fossilized skull from the golden coconuts, which I did not get, but this wasn't for nothing. Look at all these new museum donations. I had loads of rewards available here, some from last year no doubt, but I'll leave them here, not too fussed about these. My evening was for clearing some farmland yet untouched. Then on day 119, Gunther showed up to thank me for all those recent museum additions. I'll be getting a cut of some of the funds the museum is receiving, and Gunther left me with a rusty key. I'll go greet Krobus at some point, though I don't imagine they're registered to vote. The current mayor, with the most unfortunate timing, stepped out of his house just as I was rummaging in his trash. He quickly forgave me when I handed him a hot pepper for his birthday, then I took a detour to the desert on my way home to buy some rhubarb seeds because some of the early crops were ready. But he ended up leaving some of those in the ground for now because I also had a new crop area close to the animals I wanted to start making use of. I will want even more planting space, but I was low on materials, so I filled my evening with some mining. I'll need these for kegs as well. On day 120, I was after some new quests. At first, I hesitated to take Emily's greeting quest, until I realised how much this could benefit my political efforts if I go out of my way to speak to everyone. I also needed a new special order for the week, and for obvious reasons, I can't not pick Pam's one. I got on with all the greetings, handing out leaflets to those without full friendship, and got through most of the townies in this single day. The only one left is Pam, who I speak to first thing in the mornings, so that'll be tomorrow. It was back to the mines for me after that, not for ore, but to knock the stonefish, ice pip, and lava eel off my fishing collection, but it got late before I could catch that last one, so I'll come back tomorrow. I got my prize ticket when I woke up for saying good morning to Pam, and I will be going back for that lava eel as promised, but first, my attendance was required at the town debate. Harvey was our host and asked us a series of questions. They needed a bit more detail from me, being the first in decades to challenge Lewis for his job. I told the citizens that I'm going to continue interacting with the residents to make sure their concerns are met. Lewis, on the other hand, talked very vaguely about his so-called track record with nothing specific about these contributions he's apparently made. Harvey asked me what qualities could make me a good mayor, and sure, I have spent a lot of time defending Pelican Town, but that's not the only issue we need to tackle. I said I'm a good listener, and I'm going to do my best to deal with as many things I've heard about as possible. I don't know how to describe what Lewis said about how he'd spend his next term. To me, he just said a load of words, but in my first month, it's not going to be about immediate action. I need to listen to the residents first, take everyone's issues and suggestions into account so we can get our priorities straight. Now this'll be good. Harvey asked Lewis directly to address the allegations of some questionable spending in the town budget, even mentioning the gold statue. I'd personally find it hard to forget getting something so extravagant made. Lewis is acting very shifty here, and on that note, we gave the voters plenty to think about over the next 9 days. I went straight home to check the polling data after that, and it's looking like I've got it in the bag. 28 out of 28 villagers are currently planning to vote for me. I could turn my attention to little bits of perfection work, like catching that darn lava eel, buying some recipes and the star drop from Krobus, and gaining entry into the mutant bugbear so I could retrieve the dark talisman, and to fish for the slimejack. I wanted to catch the mutant cart from the sewers before I left too, but it hid from me today, so I came back for it the next morning. Shame it kept me stuck in the stinky sewers until the afternoon. I took it pretty easy the rest of this day, even came back to the sewers with a horseradish for Krobus, and thanked Marlon for all his work on my campaign so far whilst I was up there to sell off some adventurer gear. I quickly pulled all of the starfruit wine out of the kegs before bed so I could pocket well over 100 grand in profit. Then on day 123, I checked the barn after clearly a little too long and tidied it of all the abandoned mugs of beer. I was feeling a trip to the island today, but I found Hayley on the beach looking troubled as I was passing through to get on the boat. She'd lost her treasured bracelet, and I've got a knack for sniffing out some hidden shinies. Looks like I got here at the perfect time to help find it for her. Annoyingly, having forgotten to check my farm at the start of the week when the new weeds grow meant one of my cauliflowers and taro got taken, but at least it wasn't worse, and the garlic was still intact for inspection by the frog. That's all his walnuts sorted, and I spent every last one on getting the mailbox and the farm obelisk set up. I took to the volcano to hunt down some more, plus my combat level could do with some work. Of course I was here for the loot too, but this protection ring probably won't get much use. By the time I reached the 5th floor, I'd regained enough walnuts to create the shortcut out of here for future, but then I took way too long working through the next few floors and passed out trying to reach the top. I didn't even get to the chest on floor 9! I woke up on the island farm the next day and found some news from Marlon that he convinced Gus to vote for me. Either I already knew this, or Marlon is taking credit for my work here, but a vote's a vote, and he sent me a sign to put up in town to encourage everyone with the election less than a week away now. I set it up by this tree in the main part of town, right by one of the main paths, without getting in the way of anyone. Couldn't help noticing Marcelo was visiting today. I bought and read Way of the Wind Part 2 for a little permanent speed boost. Then Sandy got another visit in the desert this month so I could bring her a gift and top up on rhubarb seeds ahead of the rest of my crops ripening soon. My afternoon was for mining copper and iron. With all these bars, my material grind was going well. Pam's potato juice was done in the morning, but she's being extra irritating about this request because I can't just give it to her. I need to bring it to the kitchen in her trailer, which is inaccessible today for the egg festival. My cauliflowers were ready today, they'll all be turned into juice, and I was glad I prepped those rhubarb seeds so those could go in the open spaces, including where those other crops were ready for a while. I wasn't planning to plant any strawberries this year, but I was 4 rhubarb seeds short, so I guess fate has decided for me, or it's my chronic unwillingness to calculate my seeds. Despite running for a very important role in the town, I'm not too good to take part in the yearly egg hunt. In fact, I think winning it demonstrates to the town my eagerness to be a part of these events, as well as my efficiency, observantness, and quick thinking. Plus I wanted the prize ticket. With part of my field covered in rhubarb on day 126, I had to go back to Sandy for even more seeds. I was bewildered to find Pam hanging out in the trailer for the day. Was she just here to wait for the strong stuff? I dropped her off in her kitchen, collected my payment, and took my leave. And when I wanted to collect my prize ticket, I spied on a little exchange between Marnie and Lewis. Seems he was already aware of his impending defeat, which really works in Marnie's favour because Lewis won't have to be so concerned about his image with his barely secret relationship with her. It didn't stop Lewis freaking out, and I was getting bored waiting out here, so I stepped in and interrupted them before I get caught simply eavesdropping. That prize ticket got me some bee houses, perfect for my meat production, then Haley got a coconut for her birthday to fill up her friendship. I then made my way back to the farm to handle the rhubarb replanting. I was proud to have bought the perfect amount of seeds, until I spotted a few extras in the section below. I suppose I needed to go back to the desert today anyway to trade for spicy eels and staircases too, and you might be pleased to know that I actually counted how many seeds I'd need this time. Ah, I counted them wrong. I'll leave it, it's just one spot. Not much else to report this day aside from fixing up this stump house, but you might see from my hotbar here that I'm planning a different kind of trip to the desert soon, because day 127 marks the start of this year's desert festival. Obviously, almost nobody from town was there when I walked over at the crack of dawn, so I got a sour salad for breakfast from the chef to fuel me for today's Skull Cavern adventure. For today's quest, I'm aiming for at least 15 iridium ore for some extra calico eggs. I went out of my way to kill any pepperexes as I descended through the floors. Future me is always thankful when it comes to that monster slayer goal, and it took me till floor 37 to get that 15 iridium ore for the adventurer challenge, so my hopes of a decent loot day had been somewhat squashed. I called it quits and made for the exit about 20 floors later, so let's have a look at our first loot review of the year. Pretty low quantities of everything here, and no items of particular note. I wasn't in there all day, it is what it is really. I chucked some of the worst bits away to make room for extra festival items and prizes. My egg rating of 25 earned me enough respect from Gil to get 200 more calico eggs, and even his hat. This makes up for the poor loot today. Then after breezing my way through the Scholar's Quiz and buying some wool to ship from the travelling cart, I was ready for today's new outfit. What's this? Is it meant to be something? It's kind of a nothing burger really, only worthy of the trash. But it could have been worse, and I'm not certain what to make of my free cactus either, so I cheered myself up by buying the chicken decal from Shane's store. That thing is adorable. Given that I plan to be in the desert for the next couple of days too, I used my free island walk totem to allow me to cut the new week's weeds. Let's avoid a repeat of last week. I slept at the island and picked out a new special order as I came back through town. I'll probably do Robin's resource rush. I could do with the wood for kegs. I got my new outfit first this time. This sailor one is cute and all, but not my favourite, and I'm not really a short scally. Then believe it or not, my next port of call was Willie's fishing challenge. It just makes sense because he's asking for a scorpion carp and I haven't caught one yet. Could have done without it taking like 8 catches to show up though. It didn't feel worth entering Skull Caverns at this point in the day, so I hopped on the bus back to the valley to hang out in the regular mines instead to make progress on the Void Spirit monster goal. Maybe don't tell Krobus. On day 129, I replaced the cauliflower juice with rhubarb wine in the kegs, then it was straight to day 3 of the desert festival because I can't let this great luck day go to waste. Passing floor 30 for extra calico eggs should be no problem at all, and this early 9-floor jump hole to a treasure floor really helped. The pomegranate sapling there is whatever. It was still the morning by the time I reached floor 30, an interesting quest to get the big help achievement, but I'll take it. I found the secret note shortly after. I wasn't thinking about a deep dive as such today, but now I might as well go for it. Tumbling my way through the floors, I found Mr. Key that evening. Looking at what he said, that I hold myself to the highest standard and lead by example, he'd probably vote for me as mayor too if he could. No vote though, just a questionable beverage to chug. Thanks for the health boost, I guess. I carried on in the cabins for just a little longer, but left from floor 106 so I could spend my calico eggs. So let's have a look at this day's loot review. That's more like it. Well, kind of. We got 2 prismatic shards today. That's 2 more than Monday, and other than a slightly better quantity of ores, that's about it. The empty space was from some food I ate. My egg rating for today was 41. Didn't need to make space for the prizes because Gil over doubled my triple shot espresso supply, but now for some shopping. I'm pretty sure Pam stole some of my homebrewed bevies to sell at the festival here. I'll let that slide because I'm stuck with her. I didn't need anything from Abigail, and as for today's free outfit, Emily gave me the same one as yesterday. Either she forgot she already gave me this, or she's really insisting I wear it. Not happening, Emily. From the travelling cart, I bought a midnight cart properly to tend into bait, and to use up some of my eggs, I visited the egg trader for a magic rock candy and all of the mystery boxes. I didn't use the rest of these eggs, kinda wish I grabbed the mystery boxes on the previous days. With that, I was back in the rainy valley to get my ore smelting, and passing by the bus, Pam of course left a sign since she spent the day at the festival. Everyone who's still here will be passing this on their way home, so I saw an opportunity. Day 130 is the big day. Election day, and also Pam's birthday. I knew there was something else going on this day. She got her parsnip, she's happy. I don't think she cares what else is going on. You get a cute little reminder to vote as well, and once I harvested my starfruit, I headed over to the community centre to do just that. I approached the counter where I found an unfamiliar face. Officer Mike checked my ID and handed me the paper. I considered whether I would throw a pity vote in Lewis's direction if the polling data was anything to go by, until I realised he probably wouldn't do me the same kindness. It did kind of feel icky voting for myself though. Either way, I'd done my civic duty. Now, we wait, anxiously. I did my best to carry on, business as usual, and asked Robin for a barn upgrade, then more than replenished the wood I just spent using the plentiful farm trees, most of which needed clearing out anyway. Oh, and I had Robin's resource rush to do. Day 131 and the votes have been counted. I have a snazzy new shirt to show off my new status as Pelican Town's mayor. I feel like this goes perfectly with Gil's hat. I rocked my new outfit at the announcement ceremony with the governor. Oh gosh, I have to give a speech. I'm grateful for the opportunity to lead and represent you all. I'm excited to roll up my sleeves and get to work for the future of our town. I know that there have been talks about the escalating monster issues recently, so one of my biggest priorities this term will be working on public safety with our Adventurer Guild and improving our emergency services with Harvey. I believe together we can make this town and Stardew Valley the best it's ever been. Strolling into town, I felt a little bad when I found Lewis outside his old home. Yes, old home. I didn't exactly know that Lewis would be kicked out of his house if he lost the election, but it's not all bad. He's moving in with Marnie, and he'll still be taking charge of all the events in town. The event coordinator role was a kindness here, so Lewis could still feel some kind of importance. Let's not strip him of everything he had, but this house is currently being stripped of all the Lewis, with Marlon and his team renovating the place. That'll be ready for me tomorrow, which means I can't redeem all of my prize tickets today. To occupy myself before the big unveiling, I spent the day on Ginger Island digging for golden coconuts and running through the volcano hoping to find a mummified bat. Honestly, I don't think I realised I got it this early. That didn't really matter. I'd have wanted the volcano loot anyway, though this chest full of tarot tubers was extremely disappointing, and I still needed to work on the Magma Sprite Monster Slayer goal. I successfully made it to the floor 9 chest, which contained a dwarf dagger I will not be using. They're just not really my thing, and I made sure to drop off the mummified bat to Professor Snail on my way back to the farmhouse, so now all that's left in here is the skull from the golden coconuts. Good thing I slept to the island. I forgot about these cauliflowers here, which I waited till the morning to harvest. Let's not pass out. With all those walnuts I've gained recently, I had enough to enter the walnut room for the first time. A bit late in the week and the season to complete any of these key quests, so I left them for now, and took a quick look at the perfection tracker. We've got so much to do on top of taking care of the town. I was ready to return to the valley, and was pleased to see that fossilized skull inside one of the golden coconuts, and when I arrived at my home farm to tidy away the other loot, Pam surprised me with some hash browns and seemed genuinely happy that I became the mayor. My status won't stop me becoming good friends with all the citizens, like Shane here who still gets a beer for his birthday, and I wanted to check out the freshly refurbished Mayor HQ, but I was surprised to find I'm not the first to see it. Emily must have had a prior booking, I guess, for a clothing therapy session. This red dressing curtain drew itself, and there didn't seem to be anything behind there. I want to say the attendees are giving the clothing in the lost and found box here a second purpose. Maybe this is Emily also helping move this building into its new season of life, and it was cool seeing her actually address me as Mayor Emma. That's gonna take some getting used to. Everyone stepped out in their dashing new outfits, and once they all left the building, Emily approached me looking a little intense. I was actually pleased that Clint walked in and interrupted her, even if he wasn't exactly pleased at whatever appeared to be happening. Marlon showed up after that and helped me put the new furniture back. It's all looking very official, but the Joja-coloured floors are a little bit suspicious. It wouldn't have been my first choice. I was still thankful for all the hard work. It's more of a town hall now than a residence, and that big table is going to be perfect to hold meetings for the restored town council. Every Thursday, we'll discuss a new issue with Gus, Maru, and Penny, who will help me decide the best course of action for Pelican Town. He led me into my new office with a super fancy chair, where I can plan out the agenda for the meetings in advance. I've also got a basement that I can decorate at some point, cleansed of haunted pants, and with a fridge stocked with refreshments for the meetings. Speaking of which, I made sure to get my introductory meeting onto the schedule for next Thursday. I returned shortly after to collect my prize tickets, then got back on the boat to bring the skull to Professor Snail's tent. That display is now complete, and I could walk away with the ostrich incubator crafting recipe, as well as 6 more golden walnuts and a banana sapling. I then completely switched up tasks, fishing in the town river. I'm still not level 10, and I've gone all this time without having caught the catfish. Until today. Fishing for the entire evening, I still didn't hit level 10, but some progress was all I could ask for. On day 133, I smoked up one of yesterday's shads to bring to the raccoon. I want to help all the residents, human or not. Sadly, I don't have enough snails. I'll come back when I've caught more. I even checked the travelling cart for one, which she didn't have, but I did snap up a bait and bobber book for even the small boost in fishing XP, and a couple of rare seeds. I don't think I've grown any yet. I delivered some forage to Alex and Evelyn for their requests before setting up some crab pots on my farm for those snails, and I planted my rare seeds in the greenhouse. Why wait for fall? I worked on friendships for the rest of this day by bringing Pierre some sashimi he asked for, handing out gifts, and just chatting to everyone when I got some reassurance from Marnie that Lewis will come around to things in time. On day 134, I bought a Combat Quarterly from Marcelo to read. That's the other level I haven't quite maxed yet. A new week means it's time to pick up new quests. I'll be helping Gus with an omelette, should be an easy win, and then swept the island farm for weeds on my way to the Walnut Room for a key quest. I still have friendships to finish, so I went with Key's kindness, plus I didn't have enough ingredients for the other one, nor did I want to spend any of my gold on it. I collected any hardwood I could find and headed to the Volcano Forge to enchant my sword. I was looking for Crusader to kill mummies without needing bombs, and got it on the second of my 2 possible attempts. I freed the island trader so I could grab the 2 recipes here, then fished the afternoon away for stingrays to work on my fishing level. I even caught a Jaws of the Sea book with a tuna to make fishing just a little more worthwhile. The reason I picked this place, apart from the valuable fish, was because I was waiting for the pirates to arrive at the cove that evening. I needed to demonstrate my brilliant hand-eye coordination, something I can't say is true in real life, so that I could win my next 3 walnuts as prizes. I was hoping to give Pam a gift for the key quest before bed, but she decided she wants to sleep at the bus stop tonight, so I brought it to her there, and she was back in the morning for me to give her some mead. I got going on the gift run, and in between them all, I asked Robin to upgrade my house as she passed her counter on her way to the aerobics class, and brought 2 dozen eggs to Gus's fridge for his omelette. Getting back home that night, I could swap out the rhubarb wine for some honey, knowing my next batch of mead would just be a sleep away. I didn't refill the kegs at this point, we're just a few days away from beer and ale season. I needed to blast through more gifting this day, though several people will need to wait until Sunday due to the weekly limit, but after I got Krobus's done, I had to change my plans. I forgot about the flower dance. Glad I came. I needed the recipe and the rare crow, and this year I danced with Maru to get her friendship to 7 hearts. Just one more to go to complete that one. Alongside my delayed gift spree, I needed to attend the first council meeting as Mayor of Pelican Town the next day. These will run every Thursday for the foreseeable future, and are sort of led by Marlon. This week, everyone introduced their specific roles. We've got Marlon who focuses on public safety, the exact reason I was nudged into the election in the first place. Gus represents our businesses and cultural affairs. Penny, I could have guessed, looks after our education, and Maru is here for health and sciences to improve Pelican Town's quality of life. Looks like we're going to have plenty to work on, so I'll start getting things on the schedule. And that was it for this one. Not gonna lie, this is a classic meeting that could have been an email. Anyway, for next week, I was going to go for the safety and security issues first, but then I got curious about the road infrastructure improvement, so I picked that instead. I collected my next prize ticket on my way out the door, and when I arrived at the island resort with my next few gifts, I found Gus tending to the bar there so I could buy the tropical curry recipe. I love it when we find him here without planning it, and I bought the gold quality mango wine for the missing bundle too, as well as the cranberry candy to keep for Vincent. I just have 3 people remaining after today's gift spree, so I'll finish that over the next few days by gifting Pam. The next rhubarb harvest arrived on day 138. In their places, I planted some of the leftover carrot seeds and some spring seeds I crafted, just to hold the sprinkler spots into summer. With the lower crop section, this was my chance to upgrade the sprinklers from basic to quality ones, which will have a little path down the middle. My keg production is about to change, so most of this rhubarb will be dehydrated or turned into jelly. By the time I got all the materials together, it had taken me pretty much all day to finish my farm rearranging. Then on day 139, I spent much longer than planned fishing at the witch hut. I caught my first void salmon here, and continued working on my fishing level whilst holding out hope that I might reel in some void mayo, which took half the day to show up. With that, I could send my goblin friend away and retrieve the magic ink. It's nice to have the wizard's podium unlocked, even if I am quite far off affording anything from it. I took myself back home to rearrange the kegs into the newly expanded space so I could fit in a whole load more. And now, for our last day of spring, I started off by scooping up the last of the rhubarb, asked Robin for my last barn upgrade, and bought the animal catalogue and another auto grabber from Marnie. I haven't shipped the goat products yet, so I added a goat called Bam, then ran to Pierre's to buy some sacrificed parsnip seeds because I didn't want to spend any more of my forage on seeds to hold the rest of my sprinklers with. Even though it seemed that last year the auto grabber was a bit buggy with the barn Pams, I still put one in there anyway because I just know I won't be remembering to milk the cow and the goat, and to use up my night hours, I hunted monsters for combat XP. Before tending to my own farm, I began summer with a snail delivery to our very patient raccoon friend. I got some summer squash seeds as a thanks, but I won't be growing these. I don't need them anymore. I did buy a small quantity of a few different seeds from Pierre in case I need them for cooking, but the focus will be on hops and wheat this season, so I can make my money differently than the usual expensive wines. The hops were perfect for the sprinkler rows, or they would have been if I bought enough of them. I couldn't be bothered to go back to Pierre's to get more, so I just made do with what I had, and I wanted to make sure I had enough time to set up some new sprinklers near the barn. In addition to the greenhouse, I wanted to plant this leftover wheat on the Ginger Island farm, but Willie's is closed now. I should have done it first, really. I made it my first job for the next day. Came here just in time to save my sprinkler from the weeds. I harvested and replanted the taro I've been leaving here because this week I've got Caroline's Island Ingredients quest to do, and this will give me a bit of a head start. I didn't have enough tubers for the rest of it though, so I cleared out the dig site for bone frags to trade for more. I could then set up my sprinklers with my remaining wheat seeds. I do want more of them out here, but I ran out of materials. On day 143, I brought a bait maker to the mountain lake. I'm still not level 10 fishing yet, and sturgeons are in season. Not only do they make some decent cash putting them in the smoker, but now that I have the Jewels of the Sea power, I wanted to try my luck getting some sturgeon roe for caviar. The waters were on my side today. Not only did I fish up another ancient seed, I got 4 sturgeon roe from a single treasure chest. Problem solved, and the diamond was a nice bonus. I maxed that fishing level just a couple of catches later, but stuck around until the sturgeons went to sleep. I might as well use up more of this targeted bait. I don't plan to fish more than I truly need to, but I have several fish which I've smoked up and have been saving until I can get the angler profession, so I could finally get those into the shipping bin the next morning. Checking on my animals, it looks like the Pams have figured out that they can store their beers in the auto grabber now, thank goodness. Then I brought Jazz one of last year's fairy roses, which got me close but didn't quite finish her friendship. At 9 hearts, that won't take too long. It was then time for the next council meeting. This week we're discussing the state of our pathways, in that through a lot of town, there really just aren't any. It does kind of give a natural vibe, but I'm sure most of us are over it when we have to trudge through the mud and the rain and bring the soggy nature indoors. Let's invest in the infrastructure, but we'll try to make sure it blends well with the rest of town, and the county might even fund it. We'll see what comes of that in time, and now to pick next week's topic. I felt I had a good handle on helping with the monster troubles, so I was curious what Gus would have to say about the saloon licensing. In the meantime, I already did put my sword to work for a bit, chipping away at monster goals and maxing the last of my 5 skills. I was hoping to work on the bat goal for the afternoon, but I didn't want to use Monster Musk at this point in the day, so they stay pretty hidden. Instead of wasting time on that, I came back to the farm to clear out some of the new unwanted farm trees, and that night, I could pick out Brute for my level 10 combat profession. I'd rather have the damage boost. There's over 30 grand for all those smoked fish too. On day 145, I set up a few more new sprinklers near the barn to grow my next wheat harvest even bigger than this one. Beer season has officially begun. I'm still not satisfied with my current wheat yield, so I began work clearing out this large patch of land I've been ignoring. On day 146, I mined for sprinkler materials and squeezed in a late night batch of beer before bed. I will be tending to these kegs on most days, so due to the frequency, I don't think I'll mention it every time for the sake of our sanity. I'm making beer, we get it. On the Sunday, I could trade for skull cabin supplies in the desert, then got back to clearing up that farmland. I want to get as much done as I can before the next replanting. I added 10 more kegs to the house on day 148. This is another thing I want to do frequently so I can process the stacks of wheat. A diamond for Gus's birthday completed his friendship, then walking up through town I noticed the roads have been completed. It looks a lot more put together, but there are parts of the layout that wouldn't have been my first choice. I still love it though. I was walking up that way to order my final house upgrade, though I had to go all the way back down south again to get the boat to the island farm. I didn't forget about this wheat here. Where I planted it a day later than the home farm, I'm waiting till the next batch is ready so I can get it all done in one go. I picked out my next key quest and spent some of my first key gems on the key to the town. As weird as having access to everyone's homes is, it's maybe a smidge more expected from a mayor than a random farmer. I do wish I checked the greenhouse before my trip to the island though, because I could have brought a banana to the jungle for the gorilla. Oh well, I needed to go back there the following day anyway for our next wheat harvest. I dealt with the existing sprinklers on the home farm first, and topped up on seeds on my way to Ginger Island. I delivered the banana first to check off those walnuts, then harvested my island wheat and my taro. Most of that taro went into the shipping bin for Caroline's island ingredients, and that was it for my island visit. I had to dash off home to finish the planting over there around my 3 new iridium sprinklers, all of which needed watering as well. I made almost 36 grand from today's beer, some summer crops, and the taro, plus a bonus 5.5 grand in the morning now that Caroline's received her shipment. Mara got a strawberry for her birthday. That's another friendship done with, and all those gems I'm carrying are for Emily's rock rejuvenation. I then mined and worked on the Bat Monster Slayer goal for the rest of the day, coming home with enough smelted bars for 25 more kegs. My basement was ready for me on day 151. I rearranged the existing casks and added a lot more of my own so I could start aging some of the beer down here. I used a beach totem to zip me to the luau where I dropped a gold quality cauliflower into the soup to please the governor and the town. Because of today's events, it meant we had to hold our weekly council meeting super late that night. Can't say we aren't committed to Pelican Town. Gus wants to apply for a better saloon license to allow him to open earlier and close later. Penny raised concerns that it could encourage more late night drinking, but Morrow and I felt it was a good chance to potentially attract more people to town. And who wants to say no to breakfast? I told Gus he can set his own opening hours, so now they'll be 10 in the morning till 1:30 at night. At the time I didn't think about the fact that that's a long working day, Gus. Are you okay? I could harvest this year's first hops on day 152. Soon we can add pale ale into the mix. I flicked through a copy of Old Slither Legs I bought from Marcello, and with some fresh caviar I popped down to the nearby abandoned Jojo Mart to complete the missing bundle. I waved goodbye to the final Junimo, the town having no idea that I've also been taking care of its magical guests, then I poked my head in the saloon on its first day of extended business. I thought there might be an extra dish or two for sale, but it's just the same stuff as usual, and I guess with this lack of customers, word hasn't gotten around yet. That's for Gus to deal with. I had to go see the raccoons with their next delivery. Fruit products this time, for which I got the Raccoon Journal in return. 2 books read in one day. Now I'm just waiting for tomorrow's wheat harvest, so I filled my evening by adding some paths. I became a millionaire overnight whilst the Junimos were building the movie theatre. Those 2 events are not linked. I've obviously just been selling loads of beer. Then on day 153 I hit my first mastery level at the start of the day's harvest. The great thing about wheat is how quickly it grows. Tending to my crops just brings me a lot of joy. I had to barge past Pam to put my wheat away. She was adamant on just standing in that doorway, staring at the plant, and ignoring the phone's relentless ringing. I barged back past her to get outside again. I'm not answering the call just out of principle. Alex got one of my prismatic shards to brighten his rainy birthday, mostly because I didn't have any of his cheaper love gifts. Then it was over to the island farm to add 1 more iridium sprinkler and turn over the wheat crop there. On day 154, I rushed through the day's hops harvest and sprinted to the Mastery Cave to select the Combat Mastery because today, I needed to go to Skull Caverns. Not only was this the best luck day this week, it was the last day I could complete Key's Hungry Challenge. That's why I've only got 1 magic rock candy and 1 triple shot for buff food and drink. I was hoping to use as few staircases as possible, but I didn't have that many bombs, so I prioritized mining materials to craft more through my descent. I got my first trinket to drop before the morning was up, the magic quiver, which will shoot a magical arrow every few seconds. Not my favourite, but it works until I get something better. It took me the entire afternoon and 14 staircases to make it to floor 100. I was grateful for the key gems, and the top up on bombs helped me through another 9 floors where I passed out for the night. I've got a good feeling about this loot review. So I didn't get any other treasure floors, but I got the ice rod and a dagger which I'll likely sell, hundreds of ore and stone, a lovely selection of gems, and a whole 5 prismatic shards. I love days like this. Day 155 turned the valley green though, and I often fill this days by slashing weeds and chopping fiddlehead fern trees, but this year, aside from making sure the townies were okay, I ignored the special weather. I still cut down some weeds on the island farm to stop them eating my crops, where I also needed to pick a new key quest. I went with the Junimo cart one. I just don't want to grow key fruit. I'm not hitting the arcade machine today though, I just came back home to set up a new future crop field. On day 156, I fished on the east pier at the beach for the crimson fish. I was ready to book it after that catch until I realised I hadn't caught the octopus yet, and this still remained true by the time they went into hiding for the day. I had a load of geodes and stuff to open at Clint's, and added 12 new pieces to the museum, but other than the coffee, farm totems and the chicken statue, the rest of the rewards will stay here for now. The spare minerals and stuff went into the shipping bin, because so far, I've not been paid in my role as mayor, not even talks of it, so I have to make my own profit however else I can. I don't know if Lewis has some sort of arrangement, and maybe he's still getting paid, or the county's still recovering from that gold statue scandal. I don't know, the beer is doing pretty well for me anyway. I was then ready to give Junimo Cart a go. Even if I did decently on my first attempt today, there was no way I was passing 50,000 points in a single try. In fact, out of 28 attempts, there were only 2 times I got close. This game stresses my body out if I play too long, so I'll take a break for tonight. Day 157 was a big harvest day, both on the home farm and the Ginger Island farm, though it was kind of rushed and chaotic trying to squeeze in planting these newer sprinklers. I didn't really even have time to water them. I actually shipped some of today's wheat along with the beer to get a bonus from the Pelican Town Agricultural Fund. Why is Lewis still in charge of this? This has to be one of the ways he's still getting paid. And yes, I forgot to collect the money reward. I did get a mini shipping bin in the mail though. I fished for the wood skip in the secret woods and had to return shortly after. Almost forgot to feed Old Master Cannoli a sweet gemberry. There's my next star drop. I then chopped down a lot of cindersap forest, and I was feeling a new hat as I was passing the shop there. I tried on a couple of options. The bowler hat could have worked, but I couldn't shake the feeling that the tiara would go well with the necklace on my shirt. It was perfect. We enjoyed holding the council meeting at night last week, so we did it again this week. Apparently, there have been some monsters who have managed to sneak out of the mines at night. At present, the worst that has happened is some pickpocketing, but Marlon was worried that one day someone might get hurt. Gus and Murray didn't think it was that bad, and that security could be expensive, but why are we waiting around until someone gets hurt? At the moment, no one's even shown me a budget or anything really, so I just told Marlon to go ahead and hire the guard. They'll patrol the area after 6 PM every night. Before I went home myself, I claimed a big plant from the price ticker machine. That'll be perfect for this little town hall. Then on day 159, I upgraded my furnaces to heavy ones, as I picked out the mining mastery when I was in the forest yesterday. I still needed some more iron, but I could make 9 more kegs which are overflowing into this farm cave now. Lots of room for production in here. I could then run some errands around town, starting with a gift for Krobus, who I needed to buy a void egg from. I used the animal catalogue to buy a pig called Pim from Marnie, and when I went to drop off the void egg in the incubator, I was met with a little surprise. A void chick already hatched. I'd already done this. I called it Shadow Pam and shipped off the one I just bought. I had another delivery to make, but found most of the town gathered at the bus stop for Sam's concert. I guess it was lucky that I walked past when I did. As the mayor, I should probably go support the band. Demetrius was arriving at the saloon when I got back for me to hand him a pufferfish he mailed about, and I was planning to hang out there myself, but I had to run to the office to plan the next council meeting. I forgot yesterday. Now for some more Junimo Cart. I need to do this. Once again, the first attempt is really just a warm-up. Okay, actually, the first 8 attempts were warm-ups, but number 9, I did it. I beat the key quest, and I kept going as long as I could. Over 10,000 points better than Lewis's high score. Now he's been dethroned in multiple ways. On day 160, I congratulated the raccoons on the birth of their little fur baby and asked what gifts they might like. Some dried purple mushrooms and cave carrots would do it. Should have been easy, but I didn't have enough purple mushrooms to dehydrate. I tried the cave where Professor Snail got stuck and found a few more in there, but they're all different qualities and I need to put 5 of the same into the machine. This one was going to take longer than I'd hoped. I just cleared the dig site, then worked on Monster Slayer goals for the afternoon. Our guard was now in position, and I wanted to thank him for his role, but he outright refused to talk to me. Kind of weird, and this is the same guy who helped out at the polling station last month. It'll be nice having someone to keep monsters away from my belongings here. Day 161 was the next wheat harvest, this time adding 4 more iridium sprinklers to the island farm. So much easier with the rain doing the watering for me. I went to refresh the furnaces the following morning and found that Officer Mike can move my chest. Can he not? I moved it out of the way, as long as he doesn't touch the rest of my stuff, I suppose. This day was filled with iron mining. A good day for it too. The ores were pretty abundant, and I finished up the Bat Monster Slayer goal. By the evening, I remembered I needed to clear the Monday weeds from the island farm, and when picking out this week's key quest, I spent some key gems on Pierre's missing stock list. I'll return it to him when it's not nighttime hours. I came back to the home farm to add another 22 kegs to the cave and got some more pale ale going. Then on day 163, I gave back the missing stock list, so now I can access wheat all year round if I wish. I was about to get more key gems too, putting together a selection of colourful goodies for Key's prismatic range. I like using copper ore to fill the orange colour, but was met with an unpleasant surprise when I got to the mines. What? As if moving my chest wasn't enough, Officer Mike destroyed or stole all of my heavy furnaces. Was this Marlon's real angle? I'm hoping he didn't know it would end up like this. Otherwise, what sort of elaborate scam is he running here? I can't do anything about it right this second, so I just dropped the donations off at the Walnut Room and spent all of those key gems on some crafting recipes. Then I needed to mine for iron again to be able to make some replacement heavy furnaces. I'll be keeping them out of reach until I know they're protected. Of all the times Mike decides to speak to me, it's after the atrocities he's caused. No apology or anything, just pretending nothing happened. I wanted to sell some weapons and gear and let Marlon know what happened, and Marlon didn't have anything to say about it either. With my stuff now protected by some otherworldly magic known as the non-destructive NPC mod, I could get my replacement furnaces out of my chest on day 164. It's gonna take some work to restore the rest over time. I did still need to be in the mines today, but I can't exactly remember what I was trying to do on these lower floors, like I was even ignoring a lot of the gold ore. Day 165 was a wheat harvest, but before I could handle the island farm, I needed to go to the town council meeting. We're looking at the Tidy Town initiative today. It's no secret that Joja polluted the place with literal tons of trash before we kicked them out, and it's not exactly motivation for everyone else not to litter either, so we decided to get a cleanup crew to freshen the place up. Let's make Pelican Town a destination to be proud of. Mind you, I don't actually know what this one does. The trash is mostly confined to the bins until I rummage through them, and it's not the waters because we're talking about those next week. Oh well, it certainly can't do any harm. I got the island wheat sorted and got home with enough time to set off the next batch of pale ale. Then I had to travel back to Ginger Island on day 166 to bring Leo a mango and a Stardrop tea for his birthday, and to pick up the dig site cave mushrooms. The rest of this day went to chopping some of the regrown cindersap trees, and I bought some water ship as I passed by the travelling cart. On day 167, I led Leo to the Ginger Island docks to meet Willie and Linus. Together, we convinced Leo to move to Pelican Town. He can still visit the island to see his bird friends, but I think Leo and Linus will be good for each other. That's Leo safe and sound, and now to get into some danger of my own. I was here for a volcano run. I got the lava bridge built for the added convenience, then worked my way up the floors, mainly wanting to gather dragon teeth and take down magma sprites. But the treasures were a high priority too, especially the dragon tooth club, probably one of my favourite weapons. And I found a parrot egg trinket which can drop some extra cash from monster kills. Especially on days like this, it really adds up. I guess this becomes my way of collecting taxes. I couldn't even make it to the 5th floor without having to sprint back to the entrance to refill my watering can, but even with that delay, I still got to the top before the end of the night, and in floor 9's chest was a hot Java ring which can drop coffee and triple shots from monsters. The big run back was more than worth it, and the cherry on top was that I could combine it with my burglar ring for the ultimate loot ring. On day 168, I reached a new mastery level mining for keg materials. Between that and some brewing, I was kept busy until the Moonlight Jelly Festival, a lovely moment to relax in the middle of the year with all of my villagers. It's the best feeling ever having a huge harvest right at the start of a new season. Similar to summer, I bought a smaller quantity of a few crops I could do with, but the wheat's still growable on the home farm, so that'll be our focus for beer. Can't forget about the island farm too. I began day 170 adding 18 more kegs to the cave. The wheat is kind of beginning to pile up now. Some of the gold quality stuff I left in a box at Pierre's for his prime produce quest. That one will be completed with the next harvest in a couple of days. I got around to picking my next mastery, going with foraging for the golden mystery boxes, and I could do with growing some mystic trees for their syrup to craft with too. I mined again for the evening, then on day 171, I could finally bring the raccoons their forage goodies they were after, even if I was a little less fussed about the raccoon hat reward. I wanted to get more of the fishing collection done, getting the octopus out of the way on Ginger Island, then the goby at the Cindersap waterfall, the angler in town, and the midnight carp at the mountain lake. Day 172 we had our next council meeting, continuing talks of the Tidy Town initiative. We focused on the land last time, which I'm not exactly sure what changed there, but this time we're looking at the waters. None of us are strangers to catching horrendous amounts of trash, so let's get that cleared up. Gus wanted to cheap out on some signs instead, but those would probably be just as ugly as the litter, so I went with the cleanup crew. The past month and a half we've done a great job for Pelican Town, and we've already taken action on every issue brought by the citizens. I guess I'll see if anything else comes up later. I asked Robin for my last coop upgrade on my way up to the mines to handle a red slime bounty for Lewis. It's kind of weird that he's still posting these, but I'll definitely take his money. Being a Thursday, I could bring 3 of my prizzies to the desert to trade for a magic rock candy, and I thought I might as well bring Sandy a gift and chop down the trees there too, carrying on my chopping in Cindersap Forest, so I could add another 10 more kegs for the next batch of beer. Day 173 was for a wheat harvest and Elliot's birthday, and I was off to Skull Caverns for the next day. Now, I messed up the recording and somehow moved the entire game a little on the screen, so the next quite a while will be somewhat zoomed in so you don't have to deal with this annoyance. I was in the Skull Caverns for ores and monster goals, and I'm so glad to be here with my parrot because I was getting loads of extra gold from the monsters. I got some treasure here and there too. I passed out on floor 130 for the night, so let's have a look at the morning after loot review. I got a good few prizzies and an auto grabber too. There's a spare parrot egg which I'll either sell or keep in case I lose this one, and this fairy box is another favourite trinket of mine. It takes the stress out of some of these key quests. Ore-wise, I got loads of iridium and at least 100 each of the kegors. I got to keep my beer production in mind, so overall, a decent run. I mined for a bit more copper so I could remake another heavy furnace, and took another trip to the desert to replenish my staircases and learn the desert totem recipe. This is one I often forget about. Gotta bring Sandy a gift too. I got Clint to smash open all of my geodes and stuff for an extra dose of loot and a bit more museum progress. Donations are harder to come by now, we're waiting for those final few pieces. This afternoon was mainly planning for my next moves because it had been a few weeks since I last recorded, but we now have a new dwarf statue to help us on our mining adventures. I cleared out the dig site on day 176, hoping for new artifacts which I didn't find, but I needed to come to the island today anyway to clear out the Monday weeds and set up new sprinklers I made yesterday. I'm not going to plant these up until the next lot of wheat is done tomorrow, but this will mean less tilling and watering when that time comes around. Even though I didn't have my watering can with me, I attempted a volcano run anyway. I still need 11 more dragon teeth for the island obelisk and mini forge, plus I could do with making progress on the magma sprite goal, and apparently I still have walnuts to find in here. I hit a stopping point on floor 6 where I couldn't get through without my watering can, but hey, 6 floors isn't too bad, and of course I needed the materials. Day 177 was a wheat day, with a quick break to collect my gold axe upgrade, and for day 178, I put that new axe to work in Cindersap Forest where I reached a new mastery level. I grabbed the farming mastery this time for a shiny new scythe and got back to wood chopping. I need more kegwood, and I was hoping that some of the trees might fully regrow here and everywhere else in the valley before winter. On day 179, I spent some iridium bars reforging my parrot egg. Actually, I wasted those iridium bars because I was hoping to make it level 4 for the best chance of getting taxes from the monsters, but you can't get that until you pass 2.25 million gold in total farm earnings. My own egg was already level 3 when I started this, so once I found out, I needed to get it back to that point, so that's like 42 iridium bars gone for no reason. I added 21 more kegs to the cave for my next batch of beer, and in my basement it was time to refill the casks now that the beer had finished aging. I'm going with some pale ale I saved this time, it's a little bit more worth it. I mined for copper for the rest of this day, and to get some perfection prep in, I bought all the crafting recipes from Robin on day 180 along with a workbench to make that crafting easier. That got me in the mood for a volcano run so I could hunt some more dragon teeth, but the treasure chests today weren't all that great, just a soul sapper ring and the dragon tooth cutlass. I did get a prismatic shard though, so I applied that to my weapon at the forge and got the haymaker enchantment. It's probably the only one I really didn't want. At least I could still boost the damage with a ruby. There were some cranberries, bok choys and honey with the next day's wheat harvest, which was my cue to add my next 23 kegs. The wheat is really piling up, and that was before I'd even sorted the island farm. I slept there that night so I could dig up the ostrich egg the next morning. I came back to the valley to buy a rabbit called Cotton Pam who got the first animal cracker. I still need to ship a rabbit's foot, so why not double down? I also realised I hadn't shipped any artichokes, and actually I haven't grown any at all. I need some for cooking too. Good thing I had some pumpkins ready to make room for them. Several hours were lost to fishing for my first walleye. I now just have the red snapper and the glacian fish to go for that collection. The latter will wait till next season, but for the red snapper, I crafted and used a rain totem to guarantee the weather I need to knock that one off the list. My Monday was for handing out gifts, starting with Sandy for her birthday. That's her friendship done, and I don't have that many to go now. I meant to give Kent a prismatic shard, but I accidentally scrolled too far, so I slipped and gave him a totem instead, but it didn't do that much damage. I also shopped at Robin's for a dresser because I had way too many clothes taking up chest space, and brought Gus 24 more eggs for another giant omelette. Now I'm craving an omelette, with some cheese, ham, sweet corn, peppers maybe. What are your go-to toppings? Oh, I'm so hungry. Anyway, it was over to the beach from there to fish up that red snapper, then I took the boat to Ginger Island for some weeding and to pick out a new key quest. Neither of these were good options, so I accepted the Junimo cart one, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to do this again just yet. After setting off some more beer on day 184, I brought a selection of the farm's finest products to display at the Stardew Fair. I'm still doing Helianthus Farm proud, even as the mayor of the town. I only needed the prize ticket from the booth this year, so it was time to get some sleep ready for the next big wheat harvest. I was getting sick of running to Pierre's every few days, so this time I stocked up on several stacks of seeds whilst he was holidaying on the island, and even with the contents of my backpack, he had the audacity to complain about his lack of sales on his beach days. On day 186, I brought the raccoons a little meal who thanked me with some fairy dust, and now that we're in the second half of fall, I wanted to plan ahead for my wood supply and covered the entire desert in tree seeds. To speed up the future wood chopping, I stopped into Clint's early the following morning to request my Iridium axe upgrade. Then I ran all over town handing out gifts and taking advantage of the friendship boost from my Statue of Blessings today. My delivery to Kent took me to Ginger Island, so I used this opportunity to take another trip through at least some of the volcano, again for dragon teeth, and also magma sprite kills, even if I only had time to reach the halfway point today. I mined for iron and copper on day 188 so I could craft 35 more kegs, and I've been smelting quartz today too so I could make a couple of solar panels. I was low on batteries. I had to wait until the morning to set off some more beer to make sure I had enough time to hit every keg, then got on with the day's rainy wheat harvest. I worked on the island farm last so I could sleep there to clear away the new week's weeds, pick out a new key quest, and hunt for artifacts in the dig site. I was also a couple of walnuts away from completing that perfection goal, so I asked the parrot for a hint. I couldn't remember which ones I was still missing. It seems I forgot to dig up this one that comes with a pearl, and I have no idea what the last one will be, but I'll come back a future day for a new hint. The next lot of beer was done by the time I got back to the valley. Then I dropped into Pierre's to shop for ingredients in prep to work through the cooking collection, and spent much of the evening getting ingredients out of storage to put in the fridge with the help of Look Up Anything to get the exact quantities I'd need. I started with cooking the dishes that required specific fish first, so I don't accidentally use them later, and by the time I was ready for bed, I'd cooked up most of what I'd needed to. I still need to learn a few recipes from the Queen of Sauce. On day 191, I gave Pam my last battery for her TV remote. No idea why she has a personal remote, or why she didn't just ask me instead of writing a letter, but whatever. I had a couple of extra sprinklers in the greenhouse because some of the dishes I failed to cook yesterday was because I had no potatoes at all. Thank goodness I have some space to speed grow some. Now that I was making some okay money, I could build my first obelisk. I went with the island one because of all of those wheat harvests. No more boat tickets for me. I used it to get over there and ask the parrot for my last walnut clue, but they didn't know where it was either. I'll come back to that later. I wanted to spend this afternoon in the volcano again. I only have 10 more magma sprites to slay, which I sorted within the first few floors, and I'm still in need of more dragon's teeth for the mini forge. No luck there at all today. Day 192 and refilling the kegs is taking longer and longer. We're now selling 247 beers most days, and I still want that number to be more. That's 69 gram per day at the moment, so that golden clock is gonna take forever. I still have to make beer whilst I still have wheat in stock and whilst it's in season, but if I work through them all quicker, I can supplement my income with wine and juice. I was hoping the quarry would have more keg ores than this, but I cleared it out anyway so more can spawn, then worked on something completely different. I brought a battery to the bus tunnel, a rainbow shell to the train station, 10 beets to the mayor's office mini fridge, and a solar essence to the fossil in the desert because I still hadn't got the club card till now. I bought 1,000 key coins at the casino so I could spin the slots, but I forgot that the outcome is affected by luck until I noticed how much worse my results felt, and what do you know? Today is definitely not a good luck day. I'll come back another time. Day 193 was for the last major wheat harvest of the year. Even though it won't grow in time on the home farm, I still replanted some of my thousands of seeds to hold my sprinklers through winter. I'm not retelling all of this if I can help it. The Ginger Island farm won't have this problem though. We'll see another batch over there in a few days. Day 194 was to be spent in Skull Caverns. The luck wasn't amazing, but I wanted to get another round of the Hungry Challenge done, and I've only got this weekend to gather a few extra prismatic shards for a different key quest. I got a couple of rabbit's feet from a serpent to ship. Guess I didn't need a bunny of my own after all, and I hit a new mastery level on my way down to floor 100, which took me into the evening. There was a white turban in that chest which I decided not to take home, and carried on my descent to hunt for more prizzies. I found enough of them over the next 30 floors that made me not even want to pass out down there, so let's have a look what I'm coming out with in our end of day loot review. 6 prismatic shards is plenty. I've got enough to give to Mr. Key, and I get to keep 2 for myself. There's over 500 iridium ore in there which I'll be smelting to sell, and a whole load of keg ores too. The rain totems may end up being handy one day, and I can't wait to find out what's in those golden mystery boxes. Obviously not opening those just yet. I wanted to get over to the key room despite the hour to drop off those prismatic shards, just in case I forget over this weekend, and with the key gems from that today, I could pick up a couple more crafting recipes from the shop. Just one more to go in here. On day 195, I rounded off this gift week by completing the Wizard's Friendship and making progress on a few others that remained. I could collect my 5th and final mastery from the cave. Fishing, of course, getting an upgraded rod now that I barely need to fish, but to feel Grandpa's presents made all of this worth it. I then chopped down Cindersap Forest again so I could cram in another 34 kegs into the cave. I'm running out of room in here now too. Day 196, and I can't believe we're at the last day of fall. I needed to buy a heater from Marnie's from the coop, still missing some animal products for shipping, and brought some extra gifts to the raccoons who gave me the jungle tank. It's a cool item, but I won't be using it on this farm, and it's a good thing I looked through the travelling cart. I didn't realise I hadn't added the snowman rarecrow to my collection. I brought Krobus a horseradish for the new gift week, but because their friendship is by far the furthest behind, I also asked them to a movie. Mysterium was probably not the best choice for Krobus, but the licorice made up for it. Then I ran off to the island to ask the parrot for a new walnut hint who didn't have much to say. I wandered around looking for missed ones on bushes, and it turned out my final walnut was hiding in the shipwreck. I just completely forgot to step foot in here, but hey, that's the walnuts ticked off. I chopped all the wood whilst I was there and smashed my way through any bone nodes at the dig site, finally getting the prehistoric scapula I've been looking for. The first day of winter had arrived, which is also Krobus's birthday. Between another horseradish and a Stardrop tea, their friendship is now complete. I think that's my last one actually. I got all my smashables opened and got all the artifacts I was looking for. Donating those, I earned some new rewards. I only cared about the magic rock candy, and now all that's left for the museum are a few minerals. I brought a couple of treasure totems to the dig site to gather more Omni Geodes. I already had some on me, but I wanted extra. It's hard to get what you want from these due to the number of possibilities inside. I made sure to cut down the island weeds before getting those back to Clint, and it took a couple of museum trips and sell-offs to get through them all, but after all of those, we're just left with the Dolomite. I've had my fix of museum progress today, so I'll deal with it another time. I came home to harvest my wheat and potatoes in the greenhouse, and made use of some extra seeds in storage, in addition to more wheat of course, and don't worry, I did get back to the island farm to work on the wheat there too. More going in its place. On day 198, I had a really hard time trying to squeeze in another 33 kegs in this cave, especially because there are some tiles in here that look walkable but aren't, so the rest had to go in the house. No children, only beer. If anyone would understand, it's Pam. With the luck not looking too bad today, I wanted to give the casino slots another go and got a big win within just a few spins. I could then take home the alien rarecrow, and with my many spare key coins, I bought some farm totems. Desperate for more kegwood, I chopped down the few trees that had popped up in the desert and ended my day cooking a few more first-time dishes. I was feeling a Skull Cavern run for day 199. This week I could take on the Skull Cavern invasion, and this was my first opportunity to gather radioactive ore, so I wanted to pick up as much as possible whilst trying to stay in one piece on my way through the floors. I was glad to have gotten the Mummy Monster Slayer goal done and dusted there, and found myself at floor 100 that afternoon. We're going to ignore that energy tonic in the chest and move right along. I continued my search for radioactive ore until I passed out on floor 166. Let's see how much we got in our next morning's loot review. "71 radioactive ore. That's more than enough to get the crafting done, and an auto petter, and 3 prismatic shards, and an iridium needle, which is cool but I don't want to use. I just wanted to show you. And of course several hundred other ores. Now that is a successful day. The iridium sprinklers in there I'll be setting up on the island, and now that wheat season is well over, I'm allowed to plant other stuff, so I bought a whole load of starfruit seeds. I still have like 12 million gold to make, and this is really going to help. The wheat already over there isn't quite ready yet, but I still got the sprinklers tilled up so I have less to do when I come back to plant them. I needed to be there anyway to purchase the last recipe from the key shop. I traded the rest of my walnuts for more gems so I could have some left over after grabbing a deconstructor, and I considered buying a hopper for it too, but decided against it since I also need to craft one anyway. On day 201, I harvested all the island wheat and set down a load of deluxe speed grow so I can get going on a starfruit crop. As I would have said before, I still need to process all the wheat I have in stock before I can start making this into wine, but my thought at this point is that I could even dehydrate it for a cash boost. My evening was in the volcano looking for dragon's teeth again, though I was so tunnel visioned on that I didn't notice a treasure chest that I'd unlocked a gate to. Oh well, if it's anything like the others I found this day, it wouldn't have been very good. On day 202, I started a batch of mead for a change to use up the hoarded honey supply, and kicked off at Craftathon by making a hopper to go with my deconstructor so I can reclaim materials from some of the items I won't be using. I went through each of the craftables one by one, some going straight into the trash if I can't deconstruct or use them, but I couldn't quite reach the achievement today, coming up short on batteries, frozen tears, and I didn't have the flower seeds I needed either. I am almost there though. That kept me busy till I could switch the mead for more beer. Then on day 203, I checked on my now auto-petted coop to find my first large chicken eggs. Definitely took way too long to get there, but there's 2 more shipping items. I searched the valley and located the prismatic butterfly that the Statue of Blessings brought today. There's a little bit more towards our obelisks and golden clock. My afternoon plans involve frozen geode hunting in the mines. Not for the museum, but as part of a gift package for the raccoons. Powder melon seeds were my thanks, but the best part was at long last unlocking the option for golden mystery box trades in the raccoon shop. I've been saving all 57 of my regular mystery boxes I had for this very moment, and I brought those, along with the Omni Geodes I got in Skull Caverns the other day, to Clint to open. The dolomite I needed was in my very last Omni Geode, and I sold off the spare minerals so I could get the golden loot boxes opened. The magic rock candy and the book of mysteries were easily the best finds. Then of course I dropped the final mineral off at the museum to claim my 6th star drop for completing that collection. Shame the star drops are still cursed. Day 204 was a festival of ice. I debated even going, but I figured I could do with a fishing practice, and the prize ticket. Even managed to rush through another beer batch before bed. I treated yesterday's festival as my warm-up because on day 205 I brought a seafoam pudding to Cindersap Forest so I could catch the glacier fish and ultimately become a master angler. Another perfection goal wrapped up. I could then return my focus to expanding my keg collection, so I chopped down and replanted any fully grown trees in the desert. Crafting 9 more kegs the next morning, my oak resin is now my bottleneck, but on the bright side, Willy had mailed over my last star drop. To try and resolve my oak resin supply issues, I swapped out some of my regular tappers for heavy ones so they can produce at double the speed, and added another patch of fertilized oak trees to get even more later. I kind of forgot about the greenhouse crops till today, and decided that I wanted to keep a small supply of wheat going, even out of season, so with any empty spots in here, I'll be growing that from now on. I won't be doing this on the island for the most part, but I'll get into why later. On day 207, I pathed up some parts of the farm I hadn't got to in previous months. It just makes the place look a little more put together, and by the time I was done, the next lot of beer was ready. I'm still doing this almost daily, you're just not hearing about it every single time. We're now at 345 beers per shipment. On day 208, I ignored the Squid Fest. I am so done with fishing. I brought the wizard an iridium bar for his staff of power since I needed to stop by anyway to get the desert obelisk built. I feel like I've been hunting dragon teeth forever, and that quest is not over yet. To make things easier, I forged some prizzies to my weapon, looking for Artful to refresh the smash attack quicker, but it took all 6 of my rainbow stones I brought with me. I was hoping to put Bottomless on my watering can too, but clearly that's not happening today. I only got 1 dragon tooth all day, but the mermaid boots on floor 9 made the trip worth it. These are an awesome upgrade. On day 209, I got my first large goat's milk, the last animal product I've been waiting to ship. I wish I did this yesterday given that today is a great luck day, but I activated the harder version of Skull Caverns which will be applied overnight. I could do with more heavy tappers, and this is the only place I have at the moment to farm more radioactive ore. I still made good use of the lucky conditions by mining copper for more kegs. When is it not ultimately for more kegs? Anyway, these 85 copper and 18 iron bars should help. On day 210, I woke up to the 4 shipment achievement. Yesterday's goat milk was the last shipping item at all. I got through today's beer production before taking myself to Skull Caverns. It's a later start than I would like, but the beer had to come first, and hitting the slime goal by floor 15, it was looking to be a good run. I was mainly here for radioactive ore, but I'll happily take all the resources I can get down here, and the loot of course, but at the end of the night, I passed out on floor 103. Let's see how we did in this Monday morning loot review. Kinda sad that I didn't find any prismatic shards at all after spending 6 at the forge the other day. In fact, I took home some sap instead, but I got 50 radioactive ore, which will be at least 10 iridium bars in the heavy furnaces, and a handful of other ores for kegs or money. Or other treasure-wise, it's really just the golden mystery boxes I care about. I guess this run was fine, but not as good as I thought it would be. Today's blessing was a game of hide and seek with a prismatic butterfly. Maybe I could get a makeup prizzy from that instead. I found it in Cindersap Forest, and clearly it had heard my wish. Before setting off the next lot of beer, I had 19 more kegs to place. Pam hasn't been using her spouse room at all, which doesn't look like her taste anyway, and I think she'd approve of these improvements. Getting through this number of kegs is starting to take quite a bit of time now, but there was still enough of it left that evening to handle the starfruit harvest on Ginger Island for the dehydrator, and I'm replanting more of the same. I got through the wheat in the greenhouse too. Then on day 212, I chopped all the hardwood I could find on Ginger Island for heavy tappers, so at least some of my newly grown oak trees will have resin ready quicker. I was feeling a mystery box opening, but apparently Clint was not, so I headed for the volcano instead. I first added the bottomless enchantment onto my watering can so I don't have to refill it, then went on with yet another dragon tooth hunt, which went better today. I already had one at home, so now I'm just one tooth away from making my own mini forge, and for today, I used the big one at the volcano again to increase my weapon damage with 2 more rubies. For a little income check, I'm making just over 100 grand with each shipment of beer, most days of the week, so the dehydrated starfruit is giving us a necessary daily boost. On day 213, I asked Robin to build a shed for our overflowing kegs before getting right back to the volcano for my last dragon tooth, plus a few extra for good measure, and I came out with an extra weapon from floor 9 which I can sell for golden clock funds. I got back to the valley during Pierre's opening hours so I could buy the seeds I needed for the tub of flowers. Turns out I missed more craftables than I thought, as is usually the case, but even after I worked through those stragglers and everything in my menu had been crafted, I still didn't have the achievement. I was missing one key recipe, the fish smoker, which I hadn't noticed until now, because the ones I've been using were rewards from things like the prize tickets, and fishing is something I've barely been thinking about, especially on this farm. Woolies is closed now, and by the way, I know I've not gone to the night market at all this year, I just haven't needed to. I visited the Adventurers Guild instead to pick up any unclaimed Monster Slayer rewards, and sold off all of my spare gear to Marlon, but my evening was truly made when I found out that my pale ale had finished aging in the basement. I was beginning to think that this many casks aren't really worth the space, considering how long they take, so this will make way for more kegs. I will keep some of them though. I sold off a good chunk of my iridium bars with the usual stuff that night. I really need the money. Then on day 214, I plan to hang out in Skull Caverns again. The normal version, with Monster Musk, so I can handle some of my last adventurer goals. My full focus was on the serpents and dinos here, even if it took till way after the Monster Musk had run out to tick off both of those targets. I wanted to leave as soon as those were done, and it is 1 AM, so let's have a look at the loot review now. It's just a quick one really, because I wasn't really mining here, but I did get some ores, and I even got a monster compendium I can sell for a couple of grand, along with the bones and gems. On day 215, I doubled my dehydrators for the starfruit and set up another 19 kegs in the freed up basement space. I spent 10 grand on the fish smoker recipe at Willie's just so I could say I made one, and with that, we've knocked out the Craft Master achievement. I used my Friday afternoon to clear off some of my personal journal tasks because my mayor's to-do list was still remarkably empty. See, the town wasn't asking for much. All Lewis had to do was listen, and this never would have happened. I mean, you don't see me check the agenda on this specific trip, but I do check it as I pass sometimes, and there's not been any new issues since our last meeting. Back on the farm, I had the greenhouse wheat and the beer to sort, which took up the rest of my day. On day 216, I sold off my hoarded artifacts. I've been keeping these hoping I might get the treasure appraisal guide from my artifact troves which triples their value, but I don't see many more of those in my future, and I just needed to declutter. I then spent the entire day in the desert chopping and replanting trees. That wood went into 11 more kegs the next day. I ran out of oak resin again, but I could also make another 5 heavy tappers thanks to the bonus hardwood I was getting from even the regular trees. I went back to the desert to shop at Sandy's because for some reason, I thought today would be a starfruit harvest, but I was a few days early. At least I have the seeds ready now, and we can get a perfection update. We are so close. Kind of. 1 cooking recipe at next week's Queen at Sauce, 2 obelisks, and then the big one, the golden clock, which I will be buying. I can't have the mayor of Pelican Town giving millions to Joja for a waiver. Can you imagine the scandal? I did an extra chest declutter now we're nearing the end, and there are a lot of items I won't be needing anymore. I did still hoard quite a lot of stuff, but we're a few hundred grand richer now that I've parted ways with a huge amount of it. I filled a few little void spaces with even more oak trees on day 218. I couldn't squeeze in many, but any amount more oak resin will help with the keg production flow. 394 beers is a lot, but we need more. I had to run to the island to save the starfruit from the weeds, then moving on to day 219, I needed to top up on iron for the day. Day 220 was for the next starfruit harvest. I noticed the trees had regrown here since I last chopped them, so I took them down again, and emptied the dig site to make space for more mahogany trees to naturally grow there. On day 221, I added 21 more kegs to the basement before showing my face at the Feast of the Winter Star. This is probably our last of this festival, and of all the people who I could have been assigned, I got Pam's daughter Penny, so for her gift, I just had to go for an emerald. Here's where it gets weird. Of all people, my gift giver was Pam, and what did she get me? An emerald! I just about choked on my drink. Is this a coincidence, or did she steal this from Penny and re-gift it to me? I don't know what to think. What a weird full circle moment. On day 222, I emptied out the quarry to finish off Robin's resource rush. The stone version is definitely not my favourite. Not much else to report today, just went round the farm looking for some items to sell towards the clock. Some of those included my geodes, mystery boxes, and golden coconuts, which I got Clint to open the next day because their contents are way more valuable than selling them unbroken. I used a chest just outside so I didn't have to keep going home to empty out. Hopefully these will get us some extra change overnight, along with the usual beer of course. They didn't add a huge amount of money, but 20-ish grand is still something. On day 224, I tuned into the Queen of Sauce for the final time to learn the shrimp cocktail recipe. This is the last one I needed to become a fully fledged gourmet chef. The cooking is now complete. The extra oak trees have grown up in time for the last day of the year. I added some paths and tappers to them. With 23 more kegs, not only did I finish the basement, but I could also start adding some to my shed at the bottom of the farm that's been sat empty for over a week. Now as we say goodbye to this year, we're not saying goodbye to this video just yet. We're ending our second year in the valley about 8 million gold away from perfection between the last two obelisks and the golden clock. And really, at this point, we're just chasing profit, which I don't think will make for a good whole additional year-long video. So stick with me whilst we work our way to the summit on the Helianthus farm. We've been through a lot between the Pam Curse and becoming the mayor of Pelican Town, but what does Grandpa think of all this? It's time for his assessment. We've been here 2 years now, and Grandpa is so proud. 4 candles were lit at his shrine, and with the farm looking greener for the new season, it was time to get to work. We are going all out with rhubarb. I brought 3 stacks of seeds from Sandy. I did want the more deluxe speed grown for a triple harvest, but I only realised I didn't have enough of it until last week, and that Thursday was a festival day, so I didn't think I could get into Sandy's for more. We still got over 200 we can speed grow though, and there are lots of other spots which still get 2 harvests. The planting took pretty much all day, along with removing any new debris before they break my paths. Day 226 was mining for keg materials, though the extra taxes from the monsters helped here too. Over 70 each of copper and iron bars, a very productive day. Our spring activities are not going to be quite so varied. With my only goal being money, I got into a rhythm this spring of continuously working on making my beer, getting as many more kegs as possible to work through those crops, and harvesting my greenhouse wheat, island starfruit, and rhubarb when those were ready. There were a couple of things I did that deviated from that, like clearing the train station and Cindersap Forester debris, because I was itching to do something to improve Pelican Town as its mayor, now that the townies don't need anything specific from me. When my little shed got full, I wasn't feeling like paying for an upgrade when I know of another space that's currently being wasted. I'm pulling a Lewis and using the town hall basement for my own purposes, though to be fair, mine isn't quite so secret. I'm not trying to hide anything, and the town won't be attacked by any haunted pants either. The day after my first rhubarb harvest, I could collect my first significant batch of non-beer products. We've now worked through the big backstock of wheat from last year, and I'll be processing my greenhouse wheat so we're still producing some beer, but between my juice and wine, especially the starfruit wine, the money will hopefully come in quite a bit quicker. Sure, I could have planted wheat on Ginger Island this whole time, but when it comes to making profit at this stage, I saw very little reason for a drawn-out repetitive task, when the only thing it really changes is how long it's going to take. I wasn't feeling a grind for the sake of a grind, you know? The rest of spring is truly just grow, keg, dehydrate, so here's a little montage to save you being driven up the wall of repetition. Ah, that's right, I forgot. I did do one planting of wheat on the island farm. I think I was having withdrawals, and these seeds would have gone to waste as well. Spring has got us over halfway to our goal now. I'm planting some sacrifice parsnip seeds because there's no way I can get through tilling, planting and watering the whole farm on the first day of summer. And even though it's about to be wheat season, I'm giving myself a little bit of grace and allowing myself to plant more starfruit on the island, which is now mainly going into wine. Maybe old habits die hard, but you can't argue with numbers like this. Starfruit wine is over 10 times the price of beer after all. We're back in summer once again. Wheat season is upon us. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't trying to race the calendar to avoid having to do this again, but here we are, and we're not far off. I can also plant hops for pale ale. I didn't buy close to enough last year, so this time I have 500 of them, and speed growing as many of those as I can, because pale ale sells for more, and thanks to the iridium scythe, I won't have to be able to physically reach every trellis, so I can squeeze more of them in the main speed grow area. I'm planting wheat in between, and I'm hoping by the end, the way I've organised my crops might look as satisfying as I want them to. Anyway, we're back in the same routine again, just with different crops. But by just a few days into summer, I'd now filled up the entire town hall basement with kegs. Let's be honest, nobody comes into this building now, so the kegs will use it. Even that wasn't enough space, so the rest are going in my kitchen, and I think these are the last kegs I'll have to make. With this next starfruit harvest, I'm just over 1 million gold away. I didn't see the sense in spending several hundred grand on another full planting of starfruit, so I just used the seeds I had and filled the rest with wheat. This next batch of wine is being replaced with pale ale, but with all these bottles, I'd be getting like 600 grand, so I had a good feeling I'd make enough money just by selling all of my remaining starfruit and rhubarb raw. There it is, over 11 million gold. My first million went to the earth obelisk and water obelisk, and then I built the big one, the golden clock. Right by the entrance, obviously. No hiding my golden structures behind my house like some people, but hey, this isn't funded by the citizens. It's all above board, I swear. I passed the area by the obelisks for a finishing touch, then crawled back into bed to see those perfection messages roll in on day 263. Grandpa's proud of me, and Pam's heading out. To the summit, I hope? Oh good, there she is. How did she beat me? Red Bull maybe? It was definitely something, because here's what she had to say about our last few years. Data/E. Extra D. Dialogue. Summit event. Down arrow. Dialogue 3. Down arrow. Pam! Okay. Well, at least we can relax and watch everything fly by whilst we reminisce. Or not. Well, that's a new one. Checking Smappy, it seems that Grandpa and Mr. Key don't approve of the barn Pams. They broke the credits, which is fair. Don't worry, it's not going to end like this, because today is also the luau, and the perfect way to round off our journey on the Helianthus farm is to share some beer soup with the boss and the town. Our best soup yet, and our last. So there we have it. I arrived in the valley for a new calmer life, only to find myself cursed. We built a life with the real Pam, and became the elected mayor of Pelican Town on our ascent to true perfection, otherwise known as squeezing hundreds of kegs where they have no business belonging. It's kind of perfect that we end with the farm looking like this, full of wheat and hops, and even though I haven't decorated it to the extent of like the Forever Farm, I think we're still looking great. Let me know in the comments if you were a Stardew Valley NPC, what would your love gift be? Mine would be garlic, obviously, and if you can't think of one, just leave me a garlic emoji in the comments to let me know you made it here. As always, all of the mods I use will be linked in the description. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed this slightly more unique journey, and subscribe for more future cozy chaos. Thank you so much to my channel members, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!